Missing. KC's here. D'Lo's here. Jesse ain't talking to us.
Yeah.
Jesse don't talk to us after losses. That's all right.
Pissed.
That's all right. Yeah, I understand. I don't know why they do that. What was it like? They've won game one all playoffs. The Heat.
The Heat have?
Yeah.
I can't. I ain't saying nothing bad about the Heat ever again.
Damn, already? Give a brother a chance to.
Hey, Riggs.
Yeah. We got them screaming D-Lo, KC, D-Lo, KC, D-Lo, KC, D-Lo. We got them screaming D-Lo, KC, D-Lo, KC, D-Lo, D-Lo. We a number one spot. We a number one spot for some sports, huh? Got the city going crazy when we work, huh? We top two, but we ain't two, we in first, huh? And when you need the real, we is who you search, huh? D-Lo, KC, D-Lo, KC, D-Lo, KC, D-Lo. We your number one spot.
Let's go, baby. We in here
man.
on this Thursday, May 18th. Appreciate you so much for being with us. I'm Damien Barling.
Acknowledge me.
He is Kenny Caraway.
Yes, sir.
Acknowledge me.
We welcome those listening on the Odyssey app, listening on ESPN 1320 AM, 98.5 FM, HD2 in your electric vehicle or on your HD radio station. We welcome those watching on twitch.tv/ESPN 1320, youtube.com/ESPN 1320, Twitter. You good?
I need to do something. I need to come into these studios today. I need to be on these airwaves today. And you want to talk about acknowledge me. I need to acknowledge our tribal chief in the NBA right now.
Well,
our bloodline here in the NBA right now.
Well,
our tribal chief, Pat Riley.
Well,
would
have gone with Eric Spoelstra.
Well, no, but it's Pat. He's a tribal chief. He's a tribal chief.
That's fine. It's fine.
The one of the bloodline members, Eric Spoelstra. The Usos, actually, Eric Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler. I need to acknowledge all of them.
Okay.
Because I've disrespected them.
You have.
For far too long.
You have.
And I'm here to say it'll never happen again. I acknowledge them. I do.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
I'm not to the gut.
I'm not going to do it. But the card's booked. Bob Backlund is set to face Diesel at Madison Square Garden.
I'm not gonna lie, you sent that picture in the group text. That pissed me off.
Hey, Tatum was all right. I'm not gonna. Yesterday's loss wasn't on Tatum.
No.
But man, if there was a triple threat elimination match between Jason Tatum, Nikola Jokic, and Jimmy Butler, Tatum might be the first man eliminated.
Oh.
If it were an elimination chamber, Tatum might be the first man out. If it were the Royal Rumble, Tatum would be the one thrown over the top rope.
Oh, my God.
And they'd be squaring off. It'd be Jimmy Butler versus Nikola Jokic. Again, no title change today. But that match for Madison Square Garden with Bob Backlund and Diesel is booked.
Oof.
Halftime heat with the Rock and Mankind is right around the corner.
So,
because
but I want to make sure that we know what's booked and who's who.
Well,
who's Diesel?
Well, you'll have to.
Who the hell is he?
You got to tune in to find out. You got to tune in to find out because that man Jimmy Butler is cold as ice. Jimmy.
Oh,
Jim. We need to really. If we're gonna be like the WWE, we really need it. We need another title.
Yeah.
We got a universal title and what's the new one? The world heavyweight title.
Well, we could be like the UFC.
Well, everybody gets a title in UFC.
He might be the BMF.
There you go. Jimmy might be the BMF champion. The Rock needs to present Jimmy Butler with that title. The Rock needs to present Jimmy Butler with that title.
That's good knowledge.
It's arguably the stupidest thing The Rock has ever done in his career. The second I got that call from Dana White, I would have been like, bitch, I'm The Rock. No, I'm not presenting a BMF title to somebody unless his name is Jimmy Butler. Because Jimmy Butler is that. He's God almighty. That dude is bad.
He's that dude. I mean, what a game one yesterday. I know I was I had baseball yesterday, and they finished up the game or whatever, and I'd go check the score, and I'm thinking, yeah, it's gonna be easy work. Celtics doing work. This is where a little engine that could stops for Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Miami's up like 12 to start the fourth quarter. I said, oh my gosh. Then I watched the fourth quarter. I saw Jimmy Butler. I saw what he was doing, man. And this dude is sick, man. Is Jimmy the all-time you had to be there to understand what Jimmy Butler was, player, in maybe all the team sports, in the NBA? Maybe
oh my God, that's a lot to start the show with.
I just thought about that as I was walking up the stairs. But look,
the most all-time you
look
need
at
to be
you look
there,
at Jimmy, and I say this because you look at Jimmy's career numbers.
Yeah.
18.2, 5.3 rebounds, 4.2 assists.
Oh yeah.
I don't believe that tells the whole story.
Nah. And I just wish you guys would tell the whole story.
I really wish they would tell the whole story.
Yeah, maybe he is.
I mean, this dude's the baddest dude in the league.
BMF.
He's the BMF.
Yeah.
But 20 years from now, when I try to tell y'all didn't know about Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
I tell my grand
y'all
I
weren't
ain't gonna have no grandkids yet, but I might even be 30. 20 years from now, when I tell my grandkids, yeah, I know you're talking all this stuff about Jack Simpson.
So it was at the NBA feet. Jack Simpson's absolutely a Boston Celtic. I know that.
Yeah, Jack Simpson was a Boston Celtics in 1950.
Yeah.
I know you're talking about Jack Simpson right now in his 5th year in the league, and he just won a title. But let me tell y'all, I know y'all see. No, he's with the Heat. He's with the Heat, and they're gonna be like, "Is he the greatest Heat player of all time?" Yeah, I know there's D Wade there. I know LeBron's there, but y'all don't know about Jimmy Butler.
Can I ask you just a quick sidebar? Greatest king of all time, greatest Laker of all time, the greatest Heat of all time. How do you say that?
Oh, you definitely say greatest Heat.
Greatest Heat of all time.
Yeah.
Greatest Laker, greatest Celtic,
Jazz
greatest
of all
King,
time,
greatest Heat,
greatest Magic of all time,
greatest Magic of all time. All right, I'm with it.
Greatest Heat of all time.
I'm with it.
And I'm not even going to sit up here and say maybe Jimmy's number one, but I'm just saying when they go to their basketball reference, like in the air, like there's no computer, they just pull it down like Space Jam or something,
like Black Panther,
just
everything's
absolutely.
In the sky. Yeah.
And they pull up his basketball reference. I'll be like,
T'Challa wasn't afraid of the cloud, but Kenny's scared to death of it. Man, cold world.
Well, they kept it secret. You see, when it got out, that's when it got crazy.
That's true.
They'll be like, Grandpa, this guy only averaged 18 points a game. You're trying to tell me he's the best Heat of all time?
Well,
I'm like, nah, bro. Y'all have to be there, bro.
You're trying to make a point. Dwayne Wade played for the Miami Heat. So did LeBron James.
No, but I'm not even saying he's the best.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying like when he's
not
when you're having the discussion.
Okay.
If we had a discussion of the greatest Heat of all time, we gonna sit up there and say,
sounds so ridiculous.
we gonna sit up there and say, yo, remember what Jimmy did though.
Oh,
like,
Jimmy's always going to be referenced. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. We were
always
there when you look into numbers and all this other stuff. People are going to be like, what you mean, Jimmy? But I averaged 18 points. He's not on the list. Like, nah, y'all had to be there.
If you legit made a list, it's Dwayne Wade, right?
Yeah. I mean, because of the long
because LeBron was there 4 years, which brings up that question. Does Jimmy go above LeBron? Because they're about the same.
I think this is his 4th year. Yeah.
And like he'd almost have to do another 4. Otherwise, LeBron is second.
Well, Jimmy gonna be there for at least 3 years. I don't think Jimmy going.
No, I don't think Jimmy going anywhere either.
Yeah.
Jimmy's got to get a ring though, I think, to get above LeBron.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But I mean, 6-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA.
He's bad.
5-time All-Defense. Damn near Michael Jordan.
He's bad.
But the whole point was this dude is looked at as one of the best players in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Jones said last night, he's been the best player in the playoffs. That has had Giannis, that has had Embiid, that has had Jokic, that had LeBron, Steph Curry. And who's going to argue with Mark Jones right now? that Jimmy Butler's been the best player in these playoffs.
Jokic is pretty good too. Tatum, it's just weird that Tatum has had these moments where, man, Tatum is the baddest dude on the planet. He might be the dude running the league in 12 to 18 months.
Still going there.
And then he travels 3 times in the fourth quarter. Like, bro, what are you doing?
I don't know. What do you end up? He's still in what, 34, 36?
30.
I thought he had 30.
30.
Yeah. But yeah, it's he just had some touch moments at the end, and then it's compounded by the fact that there were 3 possessions where like Al Horford and Derek White were like, "No, we got this." Then you had Jalen, which I'm actually okay with. I don't think Stan Van was thrilled with it last night, but I'm okay if Jalen is trying to do it. But I'm going to call timeout if Al Horford and Derek White are trying to do it.
Derek White he got to settle down.
You got 2 dogs out there. Go to the dogs.
You could even, and I know I talked about it earlier in the playoffs, but hell, all right, Marcus Smart, do something. Derek White, pass the ball.
You want to atone to anything else regarding?
Nah, heat culture is real.
Okay, heat culture is real. Anything else? Because I brought Eric Spoelstra into the conversation earlier this week.
Oh, he can. But you said I'm not going to argue against him being I was just offering other coaches that are on that level. But anybody that says he's the best in the league, I'm not going to argue against that. I said that at the time, and what he's been able to do in the last week, it just cements it. He's phenomenal.
Dude is bad.
He is phenomenal.
He's so good.
He's a hell of a coach. And I could just sometimes, I have these outer body experiences. I don't know. Maybe I put myself in other people's shoes. Man, you know how crazy we'd be talking about the rest of the league if the Heat were here. That's the toughest team in the league. And we'd be like, bring your little Tatums, anybody you want.
If the Heat were in Sacramento?
If that was.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Like, bring your little Tatums.
Oh, my God.
Bring everybody you want.
We'd respect nobody. Absolutely no one.
That is
no one would ever have the title except for Jimmy Butler. Absolutely no one.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're going to get there eventually when we feel that way about the Aaron. But
part of it isn't just the talent. It's not just the talent.
Way.
Yeah.
It's the Heat culture.
It is.
Like, it's really real.
It is I mean, we joke about he's legit the baddest dude out there right now. And he's, how I think one telling sign for how bad you are is you're never impressed with yourself. Jimmy's post-game interview was like watching paint dry. He's like, yeah, we just need to win. We need to win the next game. He just does not care. He is not impressed with what just happened. Yeah, you're not getting a soundbite from me. Let me get to the locker room because I need to start preparing for game 2.
I'll tell you like this. The Boston Celtics come back and win 4 straight, and I still won't disrespect the Heat. They are verified. Man. They're certified and verified. What a way to start that series.
That team, man, what an incredible, collection of individuals who are just willing. Again,
Tyler Hero's still out.
Tyler Hero is out. Arguably your second best.
I got something crazy
third
that
I'm
going to talk about a little later, maybe in the next segment or so. But just remember what I said. Tyler Hero's out.
Tyler Hero is out. Tyler Hero, well, you see Tyler Hero rocking Palm Angels yesterday on the bench?
I did no, I did.
Yeah, Tyler's for the culture. Yeah, Tyler with us. Tyler.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Tyler with us.
No, hell yeah.
We'll come back.
I've seen a lot of his other choices. He's for the culture.
You already know. Tyler and Chet Holmgren, boy. I'm going to tell you, man, them two brothers right there.
At Tiger every time they come to Sacramento.
We'll come back. There's a lot to talk about today. Of course, we'll get back to game 1. Olivia Christian is going to be with us today. Kevin John's going to be with us. I'm really excited to talk to that brother on the show for the first time. And then his partner over at ABC 10 will close out the show with us in the 3 o'clock
Thursday.
hour. We got to talk about Jordy. I'll talk about Bob Meyers as well. A lot ahead here. We're just getting started. It's Stilo and KC, brought to you by Sky River Casino here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. Sorry, brother.
Yeah, I was shocked. The damn, this tweet just won't go away. This may be the most, maybe top 3, because I had another one that went crazy, but the most engagement I've ever had on a tweet.
Which one's that?
This question about whether you'd want NHL or MLB. There's probably something like 300 responses to it. Maybe 400.
Let's see here. Oh, we got that going. Good.
Ellis, I didn't see that. Did you see Kevin Huerter on the Old Man in the 3? Or hear it? Nah, I got it. I saw he was on there. I didn't see it, but Ellis said
I don't think
AJ crying about the bean. The bean's never going anywhere because it irritates so many people.
What a jackass.
JJ Redick
That
kind of
dude's
sucks.
probably, yeah, he really does suck. I need to get, let's see if I can find that real quick. You know, the undercover funniest part about the whole JJ video that we played from First Take is the fact that 80-year-old Mad Dog is sitting next to him. It's like, how am I supposed to take this seriously? Y'all really got Stephen A. out here being the PD of your station. I need someone on my intellectual level. Give me Mad Dog.
How Mad Dog gonna tell me anything about hoop?
It was fun, but will Light the Beam return next season? It's the nickname of an 80-year-old. Yeah, I saw it, Dr. David. I saw the Ken stuff.
Oh no, I didn't see what was going on with that.
Ken was sent home.
What?
Yeah, he tweeted something and they didn't like it. Hey, did you do your turf yourself?
You mean like me personally?
Yeah.
No, I hired somebody.
I need to get turf, man. My backyard looks like trash.
We got the number. We got the number still.
Looks like absolute trash. Yeah, that fucking Daryl Morey, man.
Dude, Daryl Morey's got a problem.
Daryl Morey.
At least I know we don't have to worry about the Sixers the next few years.
No, no. Especially since Joel will be gone soon. No, it was not the help. He's a legit businessman who had a service we paid for. Not the help, Rob W. Stop it.
Well,
will you stop it?
I was researching it this morning. I was about to grab a shovel and just dig up the whole backyard and just throw it all in the green can.
It's great though. I love it. I would love like grass, but I mean that's a lot to like keep up, put in, and all this other stuff.
Yeah,
it's a lot. The turf is It's very
requires so much water, especially when you first. Like my biggest thing is we asked somebody about having new grass put in, and they were like, "Yeah, we just got to keep the dogs off it for like 21 days."
Yeah,
it's like I can't keep.
right.
I can't, like, especially now, like in the summer, because Sprout, when I get home, Sprout walks outside. She's like, "Yeah, bro, no, I'm going inside. We ain't going nowhere."
Yeah, well, I did grass in the front yard of the last place we stayed. We put grass in there, and like I said, it didn't because it just there's a certain time of year you got to do it.
Yeah.
And all,
Yep.
It was just a lot.
No. Before we get to what's going on in San Francisco, let's check out a clip of the latest episode of The Old Man and the Three.
When do you think they're going to retire the beam lighting? Sacramento Kings have one of the brightest futures in the NBA, right? Young team, 2 All-NBA guys, coach of the year. The team makes a lot of sense. I do think at some point we can't light the beam after regular season wins because the expectation is going to change with your team going into next season. We saw this happen a little bit with the Memphis Grizzlies over the past few seasons, and all of a sudden the expectation now is like conference finals, championship.
I'm kind of curious the same as if we're going to carry it on into next year and the year after. Like everybody loves it. It seemed like it was something that kind of took over the NBA and was a really fun, I don't want to call it gimmick, but
It's a gimmick.
yeah, we'll call it what it is. But it's a fun gimmick. It works, and it was original at least.
Yeah, JJ, you suck.
Yeah, shut the hell up. JJ.
Here's an idea, JJ.
Simple as
Mind
that.
your own business.
Yeah.
How about that? Stick to stupid takes on First Take
Yeah.
and leave the beam alone.
How about we light the beam on your ass when you're the Sixers head coach?
How about
we
that?
do that?
Yeah, JJ. Go ahead, JJ. Take that Sixers job, bro. Take that Sixers job and work it with that jackass of a general manager. No problem. It's going to go well for you, JJ.
Yeah. It's all you, big dog.
Take that job.
That's all you. Yeah, shut the hell up, JJ. First of all, the beam ain't going nowhere. It's going to be around next year now, and it's going to be on for years to come.
And just a quick rule of thumb for everybody listening. Outsiders have no say on what happens with the beam.
Once again,
JJ's
shut the hell
outsider.
up. How about that? He's an outsider. Shut the hell up, JJ. So there's that. Now, what may happen is, it's just going to be part of the election of a win. They're going to still talk to people. They've been talking to people after the game for the last 10 years at Arco and Golden One Center. So that's not going to change. Scott Moak will talk to somebody. They'll say, light the beam. We go up, we lit the beam. It's whatever. Now, will it be this boisterous thing all the time? No. Sometimes it's going to be, hey, light the beam for us. All right, boom, light the beam. You get your cheers.
No, it's always going to be an exciting thing because it's part of what the crowd wants.
Yeah, well,
Every Sacramento Kings fan got to go to a game last year. Every
No.
Sacramento Kings fan got to see the beam last year.
But this is what I'm saying. When the Kings are 44-13, they light the beam and they beat the Orlando.
Light it a 49th time.
No, we're lighting it, but it's not going to be the boisterous light the beam when we beat
The hell it
when
won't.
we beat
I bet-
Detroit.
I bet
Well,
you're
no.
wrong.
Yeah,
I
because
bet
somebody
you're
will be
wrong.
at Detroit.
Well,
So
in
there's
the
that.
front row.
Yeah,
I bet
that
you're
don't know.
wrong.
Who wouldn't we be excited about? Maybe Houston.
No, they'd be excited to beat Houston too. There's no reason. Bro, what 148 win season isn't going to erase 17 years.
No,
This fan base is going to be equally excited to chant. Like this team could be 80-0 headed into the final 2 games of the season. They're going to chant light the beam in the 81st.
The fact still remains. We're lighting the beam regardless. Like it's not going anywhere. It'll be around forever, as Cardi B would say.
There is no reason. No, you know when it disappears is if this team starts to suck again. Then you can get rid of it. You don't need it anymore. You can't light the beam 13 times a year.
No.
It's got to go. But this team is nowhere near that.
No.
So, JJ, talk to Kevin Huerter, ask you little questions, but mind your damn business.
Simple as that. You don't know about what's going on.
Man, what a
over
heel turn from JJ Redick over the last little while.
You don't know what's going on over here, so don't speak on what's going on over here.
Likely got dealt with. Shams reported last night that Bob Meyers and the Warriors haven't talked the extension in months. They were far apart in their last negotiations, and again, according to Shams Charania of The Athletic, with Bob Myers' contract expiring on June 30th, both sides are, quote, bracing for a breakup. Bob Myers is expected to announce his future in the coming weeks. Of course, that may or may not have something to do with what happens with the Golden State Warriors. Bob is an interesting dude, man. He is we've heard this now for about a year about like the public hedge funds. He's a super smart dude. He obviously everyone knows he was an agent in his past, but before becoming the general manager, he has a lot of offers. We've heard there could very well be a bidding war between two prominent Western Conference teams in the Los Angeles Clippers and the Phoenix Suns for the services of Bob Myers. But it feels like he's leaving the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, that feels like what's going on. There's already reports about Mike Dunleavy filling in that role. And it looks like his time with Golden State has come to an end, and they'll try and keep it together with Dunleavy at the helm. I mean, if I'm Bob Myers, I wonder, I think it would have to be Joe Lacob not paying him what he feels he's worth, right? It doesn't seem like Bob Myers wants to leave if everything was on the up and up, right? That's how I read that story. That's the feeling I got. Because it's not like Lacob is saying we want you back at all costs, and Bob Myers like, I just think that I need to walk away. I didn't get that feeling.
It sounds like, I'm with you. I'm with you. But you never know. You never know what the negotiation tactics of each organization is. Bob Myers and his group, and then, which is interesting as a former agent, is Bob Myers negotiating his own contract?
Is he?
I don't know. He's fully capable of doing it. I wonder.
I feel like I
wonder
heard
who would do it.
One of these companies.
He's probably with Wasserman. I mean, maybe he is. I don't know. That's who he worked for before.
Bob Lamar Jackson Myers. No, actually, Bob Richard Sherman Myers.
It could be that.
Negotiating his own contract.
Could be that. Let's get TC in here real quick. 916-909-1320. What's up, TC?
Yo, what's up with my two brothers?
We good, baby. What's good with you?
Oh man, just tapping in. Hey Kenny, hey D-Lo, I'm with you. Hey, like the beam is really finna be forever though. Like Kenny, that's always gonna be like excitement. That's like our personal get up.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like our personal cry. That's never gonna fade out. Like where it's like, oh, you know what? Like the beam, corny, or that's weird now. You know what I mean? That's always gonna be forever, bro. So just don't underlook that.
Yeah, it's ours, man.
Like Cardi said, forever.
Adrian Wojnarowski also, and this ties into what we were just talking about, wrote a story about how the Los Angeles Clippers general manager Michael Winger is emerging as a candidate to oversee the Washington Wizards basketball operations. So the different things that we've heard regarding Bob Myers are starting to fall into place a little bit. Matt Ishbia. Jesus.
It's like me and there's a name I always get wrong. I can't remember it.
There's a lot of them.
Was one that I got.
No, you got Dagnall.
No, I got.
We just can't look at it.
Right.
Yeah, we just can't look at it. Then you'll confuse yourself. He's restructuring things a little bit, which could actually potentially take Bob Myers out of that conversation because he hired someone above the general manager in Phoenix. So James Jones hasn't been fired.
He didn't create a vacant opening. He put somebody in place already for above the general manager, right?
Right,
yeah.
Right. He created a position.
Yeah, like he didn't create it and leave it open.
No,
for Bob to get in.
He brought someone in and gave them this position, and James Jones suddenly had a boss, whereas he didn't before. So it'll be an interesting thing to follow. One thing that's not written nearly as much about, and perhaps this has more to do with Steve Kerr's approach to the situation, is that Steve Kerr is entering the final year of his contract as well. So much talk about Klay Thompson. Obviously, Draymond has a lot of control over what happens next. In fact, Draymond has all of the control over what happens next with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Steve Kerr, who's entering the final year of his contract.
Yeah, this thing's coming to an end as we know it. Once again, I'm not sitting here saying they can't retool or they can't, have another plan in place. But as we know it, this thing's coming to an end.
It's funny. I don't know. I guess during the season you go into survival mode and you say whatever you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
But they tried for 8 months to downplay the Jordan Poole, Draymond Green thing. And now it's all that's being talked about.
Mm-hmm.
By Draymond, Steve Kerr, tried to defend the process.
Got to Draymond yesterday.
You what?
I said we never even got to Draymond yesterday on Stephen A's World.
There was Stephen A's World, his podcast. Like he's doing like, I don't want to Draymond just says words, man.
I'm telling you.
He just says words, and there is no more apparent moment of Draymond just saying words than the clip from the Stephen A. Megacast, and or whatever the thing is called. It's the thing that stood out to me though the most, which is hilarious because this is the Kool-Aid that I feel like Warriors fans and media drink. Is Draymond was talking about the punch, the situation. Oh, if that hadn't happened, we'd still be playing, and all of this, all of this. There's no diminishing talent on the Golden State Warriors at all. It's all because Draymond punched Jordan Poole. Now, there's two things to think about with that. The player says that. If I hadn't punched Jordan Poole, we'd still be playing. If that's the case, and you're whoever the hell is in charge of that organization now, why would you even remotely consider that dude being on your team next year?
I have no idea.
You're going on national television and telling everybody the reason we're not playing professional basketball right now is because of you. The reason you're doing this mega cast with Stephen A. Smith is because of you. And then he goes on to talk about how it affect how he wasn't himself again until February.
Because it got to come back to him. It's got to come back to him always.
And it's like y'all are drinking this stuff up. Y'all are just gonna stand in a single formation, drink this Kool-Aid, and die together. I don't get it, man. Like this isn't me manipulating his word. This is him. It's out there. He said it on national television. The clip was circulated all over the place. But depending on what side of the Warriors cult you're on is depending on how you take this information. Warriors media is like, yeah, you got to get rid of Jordan Poole. It's crazy. Wait, what? There was no conversation in there about him and Jordan Poole and how they got past it or how Jordan got past it. Or maybe this is why Jordan couldn't be himself this year. Maybe this is why his production fell off so far because I made a national embarrassment out of him. But I got my voice back in February. All right, bro. Glad you got your voice back, Draymond.
Like you said, they just eat it all up all the time. And once again, especially now at this point in his career, and they're like the thought that you're not a championship team without Draymond Green. That's kind of wild to me, bro. That's kind of wild. That's kind of wild to me. Like, so you're like, hey, we're trying to maximize this whole thing with Steph Curry. We have to have Draymond here.
So
really,
I went through, I think it was Anthony Slater's stuff from that Steve Kerr thing. I was like, there's got to be more to it. There was not. There, like, context is important, right? We've been preaching that, since the Joel stuff. Like, context is important. The context was all there. I was thinking, like, maybe Draymond's important. Maybe we've got to adjust his role. Maybe we got to come up with a different way for him to impact the team. Maybe this, maybe that. Nah, that was it. I just thought, wow, because you could have sold me on what Steve Kerr said with we've got to find the right role for him. We've got to figure out what works for him at this stage of his career. We have to figure out what works for him at this stage of our team. Now, maybe Steve doesn't feel like he has to say that in a press conference, and he's absolutely right. He doesn't.
Right.
But when you don't, and it's framed that way, and it sounds like just Draymond needs to come back and do what Draymond does. Okay, like, all right.
And this, and look, to be honest with you, this ain't even for me. This ain't even hate or nothing like that on Warriors fans and I just disagree. Like, I don't think that you need him to win a championship when you have Steph Curry. Now, I think this is the thing that people always. I feel like this is what they always like. I don't know where their mind is at, but they think that when I say you don't need Draymond Green, that you're just going to play 4-on-5. Right. There's going to be a gaping hole there. No, you're going to replace him with the player. I think you can replace him with a player that can give you the same, if not better, production, especially when you talk about $25-30 million.
Yeah, Draymond's career in the league isn't over.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like Draymond's not trash. I just think what they expect from him, like Steve Kerr is the same guy who said we maxed out with this group. So just again, we're neutral parties in all of this. Steve Kerr is the same guy who said we maxed out in this group. Obviously, Steph's not going anywhere. Everyone's said, no, of course we expect Clay back. He talked about Jordan Poole being one of their, what was the term? Foundational six, I think was the term that he used. And then he just talked about Draymond. Okay. What changes are you talking about then? Because I know you ain't talking about Andrew Wiggins.
Well, that's one name that's been floated out there.
Okay.
One name that's been floated out there.
Oh, I'm with that. Go ahead. Put this on Andrew Wiggins. Y'all thought they were bad during the regular season this year?
Well, I'll tell you this. When I hear it floated out there, it's not to say it's on Andrew Wiggins. It's to say that's the only realistic piece they have they can move and get something for.
Oh, I got you there.
Yeah.
But there also gets to be a certain point where you move guys knowing you're not going to get a big return for them. And I think you might have a couple of players on your roster like that now. Like it's always going to be this way with teams and a fan base, but I think oftentimes teams can reflect that fan base where you have a player that, like, league-wide, everyone looks at him at like a 6. But within your organization and your fan, maybe you're looking at him at a 9.5. I think the Warriors got a couple of those guys. I think Klay Thompson's still very well respected. But does any organization go, we need to make a move for Klay Thompson? Even if you think it's far-fetched, right? Because we talk about OG Anunoby, we talk about Pascal Siakam, we talk about those guys. There's no evidence that either of those guys are available. Do fan bases sit around? Do more importantly, do general managers go, man, if we could find a way to rip Klay Thompson from the hands of the Golden State Warriors, man, we'd be right where we want to be next year. Do the Houston Rockets say we're a Klay Thompson away from being a playoff team next year? I don't think you do. I don't think they do. I think Klay is is some of it to no fault of his own. Like, dude suffered multiple catastrophic injuries, one after the other. I'm not faulting him for that. He's still obviously a very, very, very good basketball player. But the problem when you're a very good basketball player and you were, as you have stated several times, the key piece, you were one half of the most important component to championship teams, and you're not that anymore. It's different. It's tough. And that's kind of where Steph's still there. That's kind of where Klay is.
Right.
Klay is just, he's not that.
And the other thing about that is not only with Klay, but I look at Jordan Poole, right? And they're like, we got to trade Jordan Poole, which I don't agree with. Like, I don't think that's the case. Like, if I had to choose, I'm moving on from Draymond because I also don't believe they can come back together. Like, I don't think they can be on the same team next year. So I would be looking to move on from Draymond. But here's the thing with if the people that are saying move on from Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole is a bench player. You expect to get
You
another.
think Jordan's a bench player?
I think no, not in the league.
Okay,
but on that team
for the Warriors,
he's a bench player,
mm-hmm.
and you expect to trade
that you paid like a star,
$140 million bench player,
mm-hmm.
and you're gonna get something in return that is gonna be like your second best player or something like that. How does that work? And this is what I always talk about with the Kings. There's only really one spot where you can improve,
mm-hmm.
and that's the center position. Because if you're not getting rid of Draymond, he's not coming off the bench. You're not benching Andrew Wiggins. You're not benching Clay. You're not benching Steph. So now that narrows it down even more, where we're moving Jordan Poole either for another bench player, and I got to find a way to make the money work, or it's for a starting NBA center. And how many of those are floating around that you could trade Jordan Poole for?
Your Lord and Savior, Mason Plumlee, is back in the conversation. Nah, I'm with you. Let me.
It don't work. And I see Leezy in the chat. He talked about the Sixers could use Clay. I don't disagree. How is that going to work?
Well, I think a lot of teams could use Clay.
Right, but when you talk about
being a Clay, I'm talking about being a Clay away from a championship. That's what I'm talking about.
I understand that, but the other aspect is, how does that work money-wise? Like, the Sixers could use Clay. How are they going to get there? The Warriors want to take back Tobias Harris? Because that's Tobias Harris and PJ Tucker? Because that's essentially the only way it happens. Clay doesn't he make like $40 million this year?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and Tobias is expiring too, so it doesn't matter.
I think
they're both expiring.
I think unless they make moves, they don't want to move. I think they're kind of stuck with this team because of the contract.
So the bigger question becomes, what happens next year? Like the next offseason, when there's no parameters to anything. They're just free agents, and you make the decision of whether you're going to re-sign them or not. Because keep trying to figure out ways to do this. And I think the number I saw in The Athletic was they're approaching a threshold of where it's like, because of the new collective bargaining agreement, it's like $4.75 to the dollar.
Yeah, next year it gets crazy. Like this, I was listening to Bobby Marks on the morning roast this morning, and he was talking about the situation. He said, essentially, this year is the year they kind of give teams like the Warriors, the Clippers, all right, figure it out.
Yeah.
But next year, essentially, the team that they come to the table with to start next season, you better like for the following season, because it's going to be kind of stuck, and that's when it's going to hit crazy. So if they brought back Clay and Draymond, it's going to hit them crazy. And our guy Jason Dillard, that's our guy. He says Draymond is our defensive captain. He stays. I'll just tell you like this: as somebody with the team that's competing against the Warriors, I hope you do keep Draymond. I hope you do give him an extension, sign him, keep him around for the next 4 years. I hope you do. That's all I'm saying. And I think there's a lot of the Phoenix Suns fans, Denver Nuggets fans, Lakers fans. I think we all feel the same way about that. I hope they do value Draymond like that and bring him back for 3-4 years. I hope they do.
We'll come back. You said something yesterday that kind of lived rent-free in my head. Right next to Bonte. Right next to Bonte.
Cry more.
It was just parked right there that I want to talk about. Plus, Jordi Fernandez on the list of potential coaches.
Hey.
I know it. His name's starting to pop up a lot, though. So feels like the inevitable is on the way at some point. But we'll talk about that. Phone line's open for you, 916-909-1320. Olivia Christian coming up in about 30 minutes. We got Kevin John in the 2 o'clock hour. And, of course, Matt George closes things out on this Thursday in the final hour of the show. Steelo and Casey, brought to you by Sky River Casino here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320.
Are they barbecuing at this PGA Championship hole? I think this 9th hole, 4th hole. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm watching. This one guy's wearing Jordans. That's all I know. He's got some Jordan 1s. Shout out to Coach Chris. He has like 3 or 4 Jordan golf cleats, including the Bread 4s, which are fire. Like his golf shoe Jordan Bread 4s, I feel like I want to wear around on the street. They're that clean.
There's something else I wanted to. Oh, Kevin's video. That's what I wanted to pull up.
Yeah, Leezy. Those are my people over there, big dog. Yeah, man. Michigan Wolverines have a great time, man. Let me know how the buzz is, man. It's not going to be like Davis and Ryan, but I want to see if Devin can bring a little buzz out. They're doing a good job. They're doing a decent job selling this fight. As good as you can do with Lomachenko, who doesn't really speak perfect English or anything like that. He does a good job too, but I mean, it's still a little different. He don't speak a whole lot. The other thing about that, Ernie, is if it's 4 years, 123 with incentives, wouldn't you want him to get the incentives? That means
Who's that for?
For Jordan Poole.
Oh.
Like, wouldn't you want that?
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't want him to stink so you can only pay him 123. You'd want him to get up to the 140. I did see that. He's true. He's right. He's right. A lot of people, trying to protect that O. But to be honest with you, I really don't believe it's the fighters all the time. I think the promotional companies are the worst. We'll see, Jay Dillard. We'll see, baby. I don't think they'll fall off the face of the earth. They're still a playoff team. I just think that you can get to them. You can get to them now.
Matt Ryan's a broadcaster now, huh?
He is on CBS, huh? A lot of people say he's going to be really good in that role. I don't remember a lot about him speaking, but.
Well, I didn't think Tony would be good, so I'll give you a chance to fail before I say anything about you.
I feel like Tony Romo wasn't that good this year.
Yeah, that was certainly. He almost accidentally said a few things.
Yes, sir.
Indeed, it is.
Dear Mama finale. Great stuff. That was a hell of a doc.
Yeah, man, that was great stuff. Incredible.
Real quick, absolutely not. I mean, Lomachenko already mentioned yesterday in the press conference that they have to be exclusive to ESPN. Now, we'll talk about it.
Live on the Odyssey app, live on twitch.tv/ESPN1320, youtube.com/ESPN1320 as well. A lot to talk about next year and the futures of some of these teams, including the Golden State Warriors, who we were talking about just a few minutes ago. You said something yesterday, and seeing some of Dame Lillard's tweets this morning and the folks in Portland, it got me to thinking about your remark where it feels like the Blazers need to trade the third pick or trade Dame. And the third pick, obviously the third pick is at like it feels like there might be 3 tiers here. I mean, I'm sure there's far more, but when you talk about the top of the draft, it's Victor that stands alone. Then it feels like it's Scoot and Brandon Miller, and they're second. And then you could shake out everything else after that, however you want to. So the Blazers are in a great position to land one of those other top 2 guys, one of the top 3 guys in the entire draft. But if, we all know who's going number 1. I believe we legitimately have no idea who's going number 2, but it's one of those 2 guys I just said,
right?
Which means the other one will be right there for Portland. And I can't help but feel like Dame put the Blazers in a really, really difficult position, because remember, it was, I'm sure it was after I don't remember exactly when it was. I'm sure it was after the regular season ended, where Dame said, I don't want to add another young player. Like, we need to get better now, and I don't want to wait 3 or 4 years for this player to develop. And I know we talked about it at the time, where it's like, man, what if the Blazers didn't want to go that direction? It's like, what if they do? What if they moved up in the draft and were able to land one of these top young talents? Well, they moved up in the draft, and they're going to be able to land one of these top 2 talents. But Dame's words are still out there. I don't want to wait for this young player to develop. So it feels like if the Blazers were to draft whichever of those 2 players is available, it's immediately going to spark a thing that people, whether it sparks something between the Blazers and Dame Lillard, we don't know. But from an outsider's perspective, from a media perspective, which is a lot, from a fan perspective, which is a lot bigger contingent than just Dame and the Portland Trailblazers, it's going to sound like, it's going to look like the Blazers did exactly what Dame said he didn't want. And while there's probably few players in the league that have more trade speculation or forced trade, force me out of here, get me out of the city speculation than Dame Lillard has, that's going to just throw gas all over this thing and make it even stronger.
So you mean like going public with it was an issue for Dame going public with it? Or,
yeah. Dame saying that publicly, because again, what if they draft Brandon Miller or Scoot Henderson or whichever is available? Like, and no, we're thrilled with this. Well, then what? Because they're going to be asked the question: is it still Kevin Pritchard? I don't remember who it is.
It's somebody Cronin.
But that's right. Yeah. You're going to be asked. Well, I'm sure you heard what Dame said. He doesn't want to wait for, another young player to develop. What do you have to say about that? And that becomes the focus of the conversation. Like this kid being drafted, his press conferences that you get with the general manager and the coach and all that stuff are going to be hijacked. And I don't think Dame was trying to be malicious in this. I think Dame talks. I think Dame genuinely says what's on his mind and what he's thinking. And I feel like that moment's going to be hijacked by those remarks that when this kid is drafted, when this young man is drafted, Dame would have made 3 months ago.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand completely what you're saying. You're right. Like it puts the team in a tough spot on draft night if they choose to make the draft pick. The questions will be asked because of what Dame said. You're right. With that being said, it still is what it is. Like if Dame wouldn't have said anything, they'd still have a decision to make. I think. Even if
I'm not questioning
kept it private. They would have to figure out: are we going to trade this thing, or are we going to make the pick and move on from Dame?
Well, no, I definitely. So even without Dame's remarks, you think that's a decision they have to make?
I think so. Because once again, and here's the other thing. I'm saying that twofold. Number one, even without Dame's remarks publicly, he could have told him privately, "Hey, I'm not interested in this. If this is the way you guys want to go, cool, but I don't want to be a part of it." And then even if nothing was said, like, you got to decide, all right, well, we're trying to eventually win a championship. I'm not sure we can win a championship with Dame Lillard and 2 19-year-olds. And Anthony Simons, who feels like he should be 29 and it's like 22. But like, we're not going to win a championship that way. So we got a decision to make. Should we move on from Dame and get what we can out of him to add to this rebuild that we're clearly trying to have? Or do we just let Dame stay here, and when the other guys develop, if they develop the right way, hopefully, maybe he's the elder statesman, and he could do that. But it's not happening. This isn't a championship team. The way it's like, that's the discussions they should be having. The more I think about it, and I once again have my ears to the streets, like I do. Sounds crazy, man. I think they should trade Dame, because I don't know if there's anything they could do that would get them to a championship level.
Okay, so
is there a realistic trade out there that can get them to a championship level?
With Dame?
With Dame.
I mean, I don't know if it's realistic. Like Joel, I don't know what Karl Anthony Towns does for them. I don't know if that's
Cat's
realistic.
probably the closest one that is realistic. But so here's the thing with people saying Cat. Minnesota, that'd be kind of crazy. Cat's your second best player or your best player.
Second.
You would, to trade Cat,
Mm-hmm.
you would be saying, man, we're going to give up on a player that we like and we went around because we made a bad decision in trading for Rudy Gobert.
Maybe the idea is, in that situation, you're getting your new second best player back, because then Anthony Edwards is the guy there.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting your new second best player back, and you're adding pieces around him. And meaning Anthony Edwards and the rest of your team.
But the new second best player would be like this 19-year-old kid, right?
Would it be Simons?
I mean, it could be.
I don't know. I'm asking. I don't know.
It could. I mean, well, it'd have to be Simons, because he'd have to be involved because of the money. He'd have to be one of the guys involved. But I don't know. I wouldn't make that move if I was Minnesota.
So would you re-sign Jeremy Grant?
I think they're going to. I wouldn't. I would, like, because in that case, in that scenario, when I say I would move Dame, I would move Dame, and Jeremy Grant's going to want a lot of money. I'd probably let him walk, and I'd get whoever I got back. And that's where I said it's kind of odd. One of the things I thought about was Dame to Miami, Tyler Hero being involved. And I'd have Tyler, I'd have Simons.
Is this what you wanted me to remind you about with Tyler Hero?
Yeah.
You were going to trade him to Portland?
Trade him to Portland.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to think around of like, where would the money fit?
Yeah.
Skill wise,
Uh-huh.
like, because you're not going to get exactly the same thing back for Dame.
Right.
But you'd be getting a young player back, high skill level. He makes that type of money that, you could at least have him in there. And he could help build around what you'd be having with the number 3 pick, Shaedon Sharpe. Maybe you keep Nurk around, maybe you move on from him. But that's like the type of player and the type of deal you're looking at.
I mean, it's not the worst. I think the interesting thing with Portland is you're trying to build a title contender rather than, like, if you stay put, you draft the pick, you could probably get to the playoffs, but you're rolling the dice. Like in this scenario, you probably have to, not probably, you do need to re-sign Jeremy Grant. And so you're rolling the dice financially with that extension. Obviously, I don't think anyone's going to complain about you keeping Dame, and there's going to be an opportunity for you to get to the playoffs. If you move on from Dame, and you do, and we'll use your example right there, the Tyler Hero example. Tyler Hero comes, you might be able to get to the same spot. Like, you might be able to get to the play-in. Like with that young, with the young player that you're drafting, especially if, Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson are as good as everyone believes that they are. You've got a good player. Your guy, Shaedon Sharpe, you have really good young talent. Like you're not in the dumps. You're not scratching your head about the direction. Like, there's young talent. You desperately hope they develop, which is the fear of every young team with talent. You want them to develop, to grow, to get even better. but you could probably get to the same spot.
Right. Exactly. That way. And not saying everybody.
And Dame gets an opportunity to compete.
Right.
For a title.
And people on the flip side, if you trade the pick to keep Dame going, and I'm not saying you, I've heard other people say it too. Like, well, you can trade that pick and get Embiid. 48 hours ago, y'all told me I was crazy for trading the MVP. So that's not even realistic. You're not getting Embiid.
For the third pick?
Yeah.
No, you're not getting Embiid for the third pick.
Which once again would not be, if I was Philly, I'd have a conversation about that. Because you know how I feel about Philly. This thing's over.
Yeah,
it's over.
Daryl Morey's not having that conversation.
Daryl Morey's not.
Come on, man.
He's not having any conversations really, except
he's talking except the one he's having in his own head.
And Harden involved. That's it. That's all he cares about.
I will never root for a team's failure as hard as I will as if Mike D'Antoni is hired by Daryl Morey in Phoenix. And they re-signed James Harden. I don't have no problem with Mike D'Antoni.
Yeah.
But man, Daryl Morey is just so bad at his job. Just so incredibly bad at his job.
What would you do?
Philly or
no,
Portland?
Would you trade the pick or trade Dame?
Pass.
Like I said, I'm leaning towards I'd probably trade Dame.
Let me say this about Dame, and I promise I'm not skirting your question. You're listening to D'Lo and KC on KIFM West Sacramento 98.5 FM KRX QHD2 Sacramento ESPN 1320. Always live on the free Odyssey app, live on Twitch, YouTube, and if you're scrolling your timeline on Twitter and Facebook, we're there too. Olivia Christian going to join us here shortly. Kevin John of ABC 10 next hour. Matt George, final hour of the show. No star, not Dame, not Joel, not Giannis, not De'Aaron Fox. No one should ever be married to an organization or a city or a fan base or a general manager or a coach or anything like that. Because, and I think this is what you started to see a little bit on social media this morning with Dame. And again, Dame is always the example because he's a star. They can't, they can only go so far in the playoffs. It feels like he's going to have a fine career. He's never going to be a champion. He has to get out of Portland. Plus, it's Portland. If it was the Knicks going to the playoffs 8 straight years and having those moments, no one would say anything because he's in New York. But he's in Portland, so it's a problem for the league. And it's a problem for fans. And now you're starting to see with the Blazers, having this third pick. It's like, hey, we kind of got something here. What could we do? And now now the conversation that we're having, I think, is starting to be had in Portland, where it's not like, what if Dame asks out? It's, well, what if we just trade Dame? What could this look like? Maybe it'll look like something next year, but what would it look like in 3?
Right.
What would it look like in 4 when these guys are really man, you see what Shaedon Sharpe did this year. Right. Like, you could be 10 toes down if you want to, but at some point, if a couple lottery balls go that fan base's way, they'll discard you. They don't care if you're 10 toes down. They don't care how many rap records you made. They don't care how much you love them. If they think their favorite team can win a championship, they'll say goodbye. No player has to be invested as Dame Lillard has been to the Portland Trailblazers.
When you say that, you mean the organization?
I mean the fan base. I'm talking about the fan base. The organization, well, that's not even a question.
But I don't think the fan base thinks they can win a championship if they trade Dame.
No.
I think part of it is they want something new, and they also realize it's not going to happen.
Well, what breed? But this is what we talk about every year at the draft and every year at free agency. What do those 2 times of year breed? Hope.
Optimism.
That's it. So maybe we can look at it from here. Portland Trailblazers fans, they don't believe they can win a title by trading Dame Lillard, do they? Shoot. They watched Shaedon Sharpe for 82 games. They watched Anthony Simons develop. They watched all those. Hope, and we got the 3rd pick of the draft coming in. We got Scoot or Brandon Miller coming in here. Man, what What could this look like? Again, it might look like something next year. What will it look like in 2 years, 3 years?
I think the timing of it all matters too.
Brandon Miller's a superstar. Like they're watching film like crazy on Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson right now. Those are the guys.
I think the timing of it matters though, because if this was next year, and there was a realistic thought that Embiid could leave, I think they would choose. I would choose going to get Embiid over keeping the third pick. If that was really on the table, so that's what I mean. Like, and that they.
But that's not on the table.
No,
probably.
But
not
that's
on
why
the
I
table.
said timing matters, because if they thought, once again, if they thought they could win a championship with Dame, put it to you like this: if they thought they could win a championship with Dame, and they thought they could win one with Scoot in this situation, I think they would all choose Dame. Like the same way they think they can win a championship by keeping the 3 pick. If you're like, we can trade the 3 and get Joel,
I agree.
I think they would choose that.
Okay, so let's go with that line of thinking for a second. Your thing was Scoot can win you one, Dame can win you one. Which one would you want? You want Dame, right? Because that's our guy. But how many could Scoot win us?
Those people,
Dame could win us. Dame could win us a title.
There would definitely be people who would.
But how many could look? How old? What's the age difference between these two? Like, again, we've got to think like a Portland Trailblazers fan, right? You got to think about how they're. This is a great opportunity for that team, that organization with this third pick to do something, whether it's draft or completely restructure what your franchise has been over the last 2 decades. I just can't figure out. You asked me what I would do. The first thing I would do is I'd be on the phone, preferably in person. I'd be talking to Dame Lillard. Dame, we know how you feel. We heard what you said on the podcast. That was before we moved up in the draft. We know we're getting Scoot or we're getting Brandon Miller. We've scouted these guys. We've watched these guys. We believe they have, a ton of upside. Tell me how you feel. Are you against playing with even they're a young player for sure, but they're not a young player who's drafted at 8 or 9 or whatever. Drafted at 3 is one of the 3 guys that have been talked about all season long. How do you feel about that? If Dame is adamant, that's not going to work. Okay. And then I'd lay out how we feel. We believe this player could be really helpful, but we're answering the phone. Again, that's a private conversation between the Portland Trailblazers and Dame Lillard. Be honest with him. We're answering the phone. Like, we're not going to force a trade because of what you said on a podcast. We're not going to force a trade because of what you're telling me now. But if there's one there that could help you, me, this city win a title, man, of course we'll execute it. But we're in a different position than we were when we thought we were drafting later. And I'm asking you to take that into consideration. If Dame doesn't want to take it into consideration, I'd listen. I'd listen to offers for the third, and I'd listen to offers for Dame. And whichever one moved me, I'd make.
Yeah, I mean
but I don't think
that's a good way of looking at it.
I don't think I'd be like, Dame, look, you weren't winning a championship with the deals we were offered. Not for you or for 3. So we've got to make this work.
But
you want me to fire Chauncey? Because I'll fire Chauncey.
the other
go get Jordy Fernandez in Sacramento. That kid can go.
Man, stay away from that guy. All right, stay away from him. He's ours. Leave Brittany alone. One blogger once said. But here's another sneaky part of this situation for the Blazers. Dame Lillard is coming off the best season of his career. His value is at an all-time high.
Okay.
I want to cash in on that. Like, it's as opposed to the conversation you just had of, hey, we're listening, but can we make this work? For me, if he's ready to go, it might not even be no. Can we make this work?
Well,
Like,
if I'm the general manager, if I'm having honest conversations, and that's probably the key to all of this, not to just say, "Hey, Dame, we had conversations, it didn't work." If I'm having honest conversations, that's what I'm leading with. Dame Lillard, because they're going to tell me Dame Lillard's age, and they're going to tell me Dame Lillard's contract, and I'm going to tell them Dame Lillard at that age with that contract just had an extraordinary season. You need to win a championship, because anyone who's calling for Dame is trying to win a championship immediately.
Absolutely.
You need to win a championship now. Your job's on the line. I got the 3 pick. I got time. You don't. Oh, I'd be a ruthless general manager, boy. Woo! I'd be a ruthless general manager.
And I would ask you,
I'm always better at negotiating other people's deals than my own.
As a general manager, I'd be like, well, why are you trying to get rid of him?
Oh, that's easy. You know why. I'm not trying to get rid of him. But you know what time it is. You heard him. We all heard him. But Dame heard me. And he heard me tell him, I'll listen for you, out of respect for you and what you've done for the city and this organization. I'll listen, but I better be moved, because I can see you working with my 3 pick. I can see you working with this young talent here. I could see us being successful.
The other part of that is, who are these teams that would even be able to get Dame Lillard?
I don't know, man.
The only one I come up with, Phoenix gives up Ayton.
Because you give up Ayton.
And there's also a report out there now that looks like Chris Haynes, good friend of the show, said looks like Phoenix is going to guarantee Chris Paul's contract.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the report that's out there right now.
Okay.
They look at him as a piece of the puzzle. So
that's
30? I think it's 30.
That's 30 due, I think, in like a month or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that wouldn't work.
But
Dallas doesn't have the assets. That's why I went to Miami, because I don't think Miami has too many first-round picks, but they do have a player. They do have a player. And I know somebody in there said Bam and Tyler Hero. That's too much. I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, you got it. Like Tyler Hero for Dame makes sense. Bam doesn't.
Yeah.
And you can't give up both.
Right. And I don't know what their picks look like. But, I mean, New York, I thought about New York, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett. They have a plethora of first-round picks. I don't know if that's enough. But that might be the best you can get. And then if you're New York, you want Dame as a 2-guard or a point guard? What would you do?
Well, see, that's the other thing. Even with Phoenix, like, what would you like? Where would he be the 1?
He'd be the 1 in Phoenix if Chris Paul wasn't there. But
well, see, that's the thing. You pick up Chris Paul's option, you trade him.
Well,
I mean, because $30 million makes the money work.
Trade him to Portland.
Yeah. Now you got Chris Paul working with Shaedon Sharpe, the number 3 pick.
That would work.
And whatever.
That would work. Like that whole scenario.
Oh, they out there playing chess in Phoenix.
It's been thrown in the chat a little bit. Does New Orleans have anything for Portland?
Zion.
Not Ingram, though?
No.
I'd want those two together. I'd want Damon's Ingram together.
Ingram is,
well, that's what I mean, though. You trade like the 3 pick for like Ingram or something like that.
Oh, you're talking about the other way around. You keep Dame in Portland and you try to.
No, I mean, because if New Orleans, I'm not trading Brandon Ingram.
Yeah,
I'm not. Like, I don't want to say he's untouchable, but he's as close as it gets. We could even have a discussion about Zion before we could have a discussion about Brandon Ingram. If I'm, what's my man's name?
David Griffin?
Griff.
Griff.
That's what I was thinking about. I wasn't even thinking about his own name. Griff. You could talk to me about Zion before you could talk to me about Ingram. But you know how I feel about Ingram.
Oh, trade proposals are fun when they're not trying to fix the Sacramento Kings. So much less stressful. We'll come back.
I thought about if the Kings could get involved
with Dame.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to hear it. I need to hear it. We'll come back. Olivia joins us when we return here on Sacramento Sports Leader ESPN 1320. text Kevin back. He said he didn't get the link.
That's one of my favorite songs of all time. I Want You Around, Snow Allegra. That is an all-time. What's going on over there right now? That's somebody's lunch? Look like a big bag. Because if you don't, that be hitting.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know that,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money.
Yeah. I'm learning that. Was actually trying to figure out, can I do this shit by myself? Just
When
dig up the ground. And
when you watch them, it doesn't look hard, but
it's a lot of
what you're
work.
doing. A lot of work,
Yeah,
and you
it's a
got to
lot
know
of
what you're
work.
doing.
Oh, dog.
Hi.
Way back.
What's
Oh,
up, man?
girls this week.
Girls this
are
week,
popping.
yeah.
Whoops.
Thanks. How you guys doing?
We're good, man.
Yeah,
How are you?
I'm doing well. It's an emotional roller coaster, entrepreneurial life.
that's for sure. Is LA going crazy right now? Is LA buzzing for the Lakers?
Parts of it.
I heard a very interesting question last night or yesterday on Twitter. It was interesting to me, at least. Somebody from LA asked, the parameters were, you got to be from LA and you got to live through both times. Who would you say is the most beloved in Los Angeles? Magic, Shaq, Kareem, or Kobe? And it was
Kobe.
unanimous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it. Oh, Magic. Yeah, I believe that too. I was going to say
through both, or you're around.
I'd say the both generations. There's a Magic generation. There's a Kobe generation.
I was going to say, I feel like there's only two answers, like Kobe or Magic. I don't think it's Shaq
there
or
were people
Kareem.
Who didn't see Magic who were like Kobe.
Like Kareem, like how many years did even Kareem play in LA before Magic got there? Like 4, 3?
Yeah.
Like it's not a lot.
Not that many.
Yeah.
But they, I mean, it was.
Yeah, I believe it.
It was Magic, and it's not even close. Like,
I believe it.
You heard that so many times.
Yeah, I believe it. I would have believed Kobe too. I would have called you a liar.
Kobe murals all over downtown LA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kobe.
But Josiah,
Come on. Hang on now. Back here with the host of the game last night, an ESPN 1320 contributor, Olivia Christian. Oh, dog. Maybach O.
Let's
Olivia,
get all
what's
of the
happening?
nicknames out.
Yeah,
I'm doing well. Lots of things are happening. Lots of things.
What's happening?
The I talk about this every now and then, the entrepreneurial life. You mentioned, I have another world that I live in, and
You're a
lots of
motivational speaker
Jet
/
setting.
therapist / I don't. What exactly is your, like, do you have a business card?
yeah.
What
It
does
says
the business card say?
brand strategist.
Oh, brand strategist.
Yes.
With
Because
a
the
little
workshop that I
motivational speaking
do,
on the side?
the workshop that I do that you call motivational speaking, which is fine, is just a part of what I do in branding. I do work with brands to create like outreach programs and marketing tools and things like that. So it's a whole world of branding stuff that I do. But what I get paid, like what pays my rent down here, is the workshop itself, the bigger own your story thing. But with so many layoffs happening, I'm getting a lot of people like wanting the therapy part, Damien, calling me to talk about what to do next and how to deal with their emotions. And I'm like, I just want you to know, I'm not licensed for that. We can talk about it, but I'm not licensed to give you, true mental health services. And I don't want to be responsible if everything goes to crap, whatever advice I'm giving you. But
Well,
it's a
our
lot to
barbers
take on.
aren't. Our barbers aren't either, but like those are therapy sessions when you're sitting in the chair getting your cut. Like, you're talking about everything.
Absolutely.
When I had a big surgery last year around this time, May 11th is the anniversary of a big surgery I had on an issue that's been ongoing for me. Not painful or anything, but my leg is a little weird. And I had to go to physical therapy for about 6 weeks, 3 times a week. And I would pour my brains out, my heart out to my therapist, sometimes start crying. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just getting worked on. And she's like, the power of touch. When you go to get your barber or get your hair done and people are massaging your scalp, it just like releases a lot of tension in your body. And then it results in you pouring your heart out to people. And then being like, I'll see you in 2 weeks to come line me up again. And you go through the whole thing all over again. It's wild.
This is why my thoughts and feelings just always stay inside.
I guess so. Like, my barber doesn't massage my scalp, so I'm going in next week asking some questions.
Guys don't do that? You don't get your
Nah,
massage
bro.
in?
No, they
That-
got something like that.
That hasn't happened to me.
Well, I bet he could do it.
Massage my scalp?
Yeah, that's probably like $95. But
Like, how do you ask for that? Like, hey, fade, line, get the little spray, and
they-
then massage my scalp.
I was going.
I know what you were going to say. Yeah, I know what you're going to say, and I'm glad.
$95 one. That's it.
I know exactly
HR.
what you're going to say. Boy, you
HR.
were quick to stop. Yep. I'm glad you missed that.
But they
Wait, so when you go in to get your hair cut, you just go in and you sit down and they start cutting your hair? They don't like wash you first? And like,
Nah, bro.
No.
Nah.
What are you talking about?
No.
well,
That-
women get their hair washed at the salon. So that's why they massage your scalp, because
Well,
it's
I don't
shampoo.
think our processes of like getting our hair cut and hair done are the same. Like, how
Well,
often do you go get your hair done?
Probably every like 2 weeks.
Oh, I didn't expect that.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
the
it's
same.
about the same. Yeah, Darren doesn't wash my hair.
I bet you those services are available now. Back when I was getting my hair cut, no, it wasn't available. Like, you just get in the chair, line you up, do whatever. But nowadays, and you got to be able to do all that other stuff. You have to.
What about your beard? Like, guys go in and get their beard done, right? Like, do they shampoo your
I've
beard?
done that. I don't like how low they take my beard, like the line. So I just do it myself. But every now and then, like, yeah. Like for my wedding, I don't think I'll do it myself. I think
You getting married?
I'm like, what? Is there an announcement being made right now?
I've been engaged for like 3 years.
You've been engaged since before the show, so I just figured that was the bit.
It's very
Like,
The
you
Office,
just-
Pam,
you
and
Yeah, you're just he doesn't get that reference, but you're
I
just
know.
engaged with kids. That's just how I figured it worked.
One of these days, it'll all be.
Y'all had another kid while you were engaged. That's hilarious.
Pandemic couldn't stop that. Like it stopped the wedding.
Pandemic increased the likelihood of that. We're here in the house. We got to do something.
Something.
Hell, Kenny was working at home at the time. Something's got to give here. Something's got to
That's
give
actually
here.
when they said divorces went up during the pandemic.
Well, yeah, because you're probably sick of each
Like,
other.
Damn. I didn't realize how much I don't like you.
Yeah, it's tough when you can't leave the house.
Mm. We made
See,
it.
that's why I
made it.
live hundreds of miles away from my invisible boyfriend, and that's why it
Yeah.
stays fresh because we're
Well,
not
plus
all
he's
Hundreds of
invisible.
miles away
that
Yeah.
too.
from
He's-
your boyfriend.
He shows some picture with some random dude like, "This my boy."
Bro,
Oh yeah,
that-
right. Okay.
That came with the frame.
All right, dog.
that came with the frame, man. We all know it. That you got that one at Burlington,
Walgreens.
and it came with the frame.
You get frames at Burlington Coat
They
Factory?
got everything.
I don't think I've ever been in there.
No.
There's a Burlington down the street. When you guys come visit, we can walk to the Burlington, go to the Nike store,
Oh,
see some Kobe murals. It's all over the place down here.
I heard it's a
Yeah.
Nike factory store.
Yeah, which don't mean nothing.
It's
no
a
more.
damn
Ain't
shame
nothing
I don't go to
cheap.
Arden.
You might end up going.
I don't
I
think
might
so.
have to pull up.
All right. Well, of
I've
course.
never even been. It's literally just a few blocks, and I've never been.
Yeah, Burlington is cool. I don't think I go to Burlington anymore though.
Okay.
It's cool. Like it's cool. Though. I like Burlington. Maybe if I need some shoes, if I need something quick, like dang, I need some shoes. I don't have no shoes, like dress shoes. I'll check
Oh, I was about to
Burlington
say,
Coat
what
Factory.
pair of shoes you don't have?
Yeah.
You're going to get at Burlington Coat Factory.
Yeah, well,
I've never
I've
been to
seen your
Burlington.
shoes. Those are not sold at Burlington Coat Factory.
Stop it. Stop. it.
They dropped the coat factory. It's just Burlington.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. I like Burlington though. No Burlington slander. I like Burlington.
I'm not slandering them. I've
No,
never
I'm just
been
making
there.
sure nobody in the chat slanders Burlington Coat Factory.
Okay.
I like Burlington.
Well, this wasn't in the notes today, so I don't know how to transition out of this. Are you locked into the play? Like, what are you really locked into right now?
I'm still watching the playoffs. I know that Kenny was putting out on social media that people who like the Warriors don't watch basketball, but they only watch Warriors. I'm sorry?
I said you're different. You're not of the norm. It's only you and Bonte who are still watching the playoffs. Really?
Well, last night I was watching obviously the game last night. And I have YouTube TV and it crashed.
Oh, I reset the Apple TV. I reset the modem. I reset everything that was plugged in my house until it finally dawned on me, hey, go to Twitter. Went to Twitter. Oh, it's not my problem. Thankfully, I have a little workaround. So I went to the TNT app and was able to get in and watch the game that way.
Damn,
That
was a
was
win
frustrating.
for guys like me. The guys who kept the cord. Win for me.
Okay, calm down.
I didn't even watch it on TV. I watched it on my phone.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that was a frustrating night.
Yeah.
It was
That's-
wild. Like I don't
They
usually
better get that straight before September.
Well, that was the first tweet I saw is before
Yeah.
NFL goes live. They better get this worked out. And it was just TNT. It
Mhm.
wasn't the app.
Okay,
Like
that's crazy.
the episode of The Office that was on was working fine, but TNT was a mess.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah, I typically start games around 20 minutes or so in, so I can start skipping the commercials. So I'm watching the third quarter, and it would jump from 12 minutes in, and all of a sudden it was 8 minutes in. I'm like, wait, am I crazy? Did
Mhm.
And it took me a while to realize what it was too. I didn't go unplug everything, but I thought it was just like maybe I sat on the remote, and then I went to Twitter, which is the savior for all of us to know what's going on in the world. And when I finally caught up, it didn't pick up again until the post game show. And Charles and Kenny and all them. So I didn't go on Twitter again because I wanted to watch the game. So I didn't finish it until this morning.
You think you
It
could
was
do
hard
that?
to stay away from the headlines.
That's
It was a good game. I wanted to see how it worked out. But that was like crazy disappointing. That peak basketball here. And you spend YouTube TV is so expensive. It's ridiculous. I only pay for it for live games. And it just went crazy last night.
But do you think you could do what Olivia said she does on the regular?
What's that?
Wait 20 minutes to start watching the game?
No,
I couldn't do that either.
no, I
could
couldn't.
not do that.
Not with the way stuff gets pushed to your phone.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, no, I couldn't do that.
Well, I have to turn that stuff off. Plus, I'm not as emotionally invested in this game. I want the Celtics to lose because I will never root for a Boston team in any sport ever. I like Tatum. I like Jaylen Brown. I want to see a good game. I wouldn't be mad if they won, but I'm not emotionally invested. So I can start a game like that 20 minutes late. I still watch all the commentary, the interviews and stuff. I just skip all of the commercials with Lily and AT&T and all. I'm like, it's repetitive. So
Well, last night it was The Little Mermaid.
Oh,
That
and,
Little Mermaid commercial was on probably 4,000 to 5,000 times.
Wow.
oh,
Good to see Hallie get that kind of
It's good, but okay. Even at there's a certain point where it's like, all right, Like, I get it. The Little Mermaid is coming out. Like, stop showing me this ad.
I don't get why they don't shoot multiple versions. I mean, I know in marketing you have to show the same thing over and over again before somebody, buys something. But you don't have to. I just think shoot 3 or 4 different commercials. Let's mix it up a little. It's still the same brand. It gets to a point where I don't want to be your customer because I'm annoyed with how many times I'm seeing a commercial.
It's interesting. I don't ever pay attention to commercials. I don't pay attention.
Neither do I.
None of them bother me.
I'm normally spaced out. That's why the Light the Beam one caught my attention so much. I was like, yo, what was that? What was
a local commercial for Light the Beam?
It's not a local commercial. It's a national commercial.
Oh my gosh.
Would you say it's Google?
Yeah,
Google Pixel.
Drewski says light the beam, and they light the beam at this house.
Oh wow.
We made it.
Well, see, I fast forwarded the commercials, so I don't see most of the commercials. By the end of the game, by the middle of the fourth quarter, I've caught up. So that's when I start seeing that stuff. Anyways, this is all super important conversation.
You know what's funny? I'm not sure we actually talked about it. Maybe we did. Forgive me if we did. But remember when Ja Morant got in trouble and we were talking about some other things and we were like, oh, Olivia, we know you had Ja Morant on here. We didn't get a chance to talk about it. And we thought, we'll never be able to talk about Ja Morant again. Well, guess what?
Good news, Olivia.
He did it again. We can talk about Ja Morant. Your thoughts?
Oh, man. We did actually, Kenny. You snuck in a question really quickly before I left the show a few weeks ago when it first happened. And unlike you guys, I was a little more like, oh, it's okay. He's learning. It was bad what he did. And y'all are like, nah, he's the problem. I've changed camps. He's the problem.
Well, we welcome you. We got a space for you. It's all right.
I'm on the bandwagon.
We got you.
It's just really disappointing, obviously. I think a lot of people who were kind of talking in the same vein that I was, that he's young, got a lot of money, people probably pressuring him to try to act a certain way, and he just gotta get a mentor, go to quote unquote rehab. And obviously that wasn't the thing. And you guys were calling it out then. You're like, nah, he's had a number of incidents. It wasn't just this one time with the gun and, on Instagram Live when he was at the club. It was the other things, confronting people in the mall because your mom said, they had an attitude, and a gang of folks confronting a guy at Finish Line, I think it was that. And then, confronting a teenager and hitting him back and saying, well, he hit me for, it was all ridiculous, but it all seemed very juvenile and correctable. And it still seems correctable to me. But clearly there's something going on with Ja. I don't know that world. I didn't grow up around people who kind of lifted that stuff up. If anything, sports is what kept me and a lot of people out of just doing dumb things. You got to make grades in order to play. If you want to play and go to college, you had to act right. I don't know. He clearly did some of the stuff to get to where he is. I don't know why he's letting go of all of those things at this point. At a point where he's making so much money. He has a great opportunity to create some generational wealth for his family and have an impact on the league for generations to come. And to just be fooling around with it, there's something wrong in the brain. I don't know what that is.
Did you see the other part of the video where he's standing on the car?
Yeah.
I did.
Bro, what are you what are you doing?
You're a grown man. You're in the
Yeah, go ahead, say it. Finish what you were about to say.
The NBA.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were going to say. I don't know what neighborhood he's in, but he's not in his.
Right.
Like his house is not in this neighborhood that he's in.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Bro, what point are you trying to prove? Because you might go into the wrong neighborhood doing that. I hadn't seen I hadn't seen that part of the video until yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't see it until yesterday.
The young boy part of the video.
Right. I don't know what he's thinking. Charles Barkley last night was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. He was 100% correct. And this is the crux of what I think we've all been trying to say, or me and Damian and Olivia may feel the same way. But he basically said, look, man, you get paid a lot of money to behave a certain type of way in public. If you don't want to behave that way, fine. That's okay. That's your right. But know that you can't make the same amount of money, at least not here in the NBA. You can't have it both ways. In the NBA, they pay you $100 million a year to represent the league a certain way, to behave a certain way. And if it matters that much to you to do things the way you want to do that aren't in line with the NBA, by all means, go do that. You just can't make the same amount of money here behaving that way.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it's common sense. It was perfectly said by Charles Barkley. He was 100% correct.
I think that's common sense, but I also think you don't even need to be in the league or making a lot of money for this to be common sense. If you're working at a Target and on your day off, somebody has a video of you messing with some kids, hitting them up in the park or smacking some woman or calling them the N-word, like, you will get fired from Target because Target doesn't want to be associated with you. They have a code of conduct as well. It may not be illegal what you did, but if it's something that could make them look bad, you will get fired for that. The fact that he's also jeopardizing millions of dollars and ability to create generational wealth, making an impact on the league and having kids look up to him and follow his example, that's all on top of that. It's like you're messing with a lot by doing that. But all of us as humans who have jobs, who aren't necessarily self-employed, but we all work through a common understanding that just because it's not illegal or if it's not done in the workplace doesn't mean that our employers can't fire us for this. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about how HR at Odyssey, with those things we had to watch, those videos and walking through, like, oh my gosh, what do you do if this happens? And I made the joke about, if somebody hands you weed in the bathroom, what do you do? And we were laughing about it. And you're like, well, it's California, so, it's not a big deal. But
you smoke it and you go back to work.
but we're making a joke about that, right? But if you got caught getting high in the offices, you're fired.
Probably
the excuse that it's legal in California does not work because you're living by a code of conduct at Odyssey. We can't do that stuff.
I just hope if that happens, JJ Redick goes on TV to defend me. That's all I care about. If I get fired for smoking
What
weed,
are we talking about?
Guns are pervasive. He didn't break the law. He didn't break the law.
I just want someone to defend me that way on television. Kenny, it's up to you. Go on CBS Sports with Jake and Sarah and defend me if I were to get high at work.
But Jim Crandall,
Jim Crandall
guest hosting, playing the Mad Dog role.
Wow.
I appreciated JJ's passion for it, right? Like talking about Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, and all these elected representatives in counties and states where crime and gun rates of death and mass shootings are happening all the time, and they're sending out Christmas cards flaunting it. Like, yeah, we know that that's bad, and there is a remedy to that. It's called voting. Texas could have done it. Memphis could have done it. The NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies, they have their way of reconciling this issue. And John knew that. The Players Association knows this. They negotiate these terms. And it's not that wild to be like, yeah, he's allowed technically to have a gun. Flaunting it on Instagram, that's on the no list. The do's and don'ts of this contract, that's a don't.
Yeah, that was the problem with JJ's impassioned argument, is that it had nothing to do with nothing. It's like, JJ, you're talking about two different things. Like, I guess I get it, but you're too smart to be that short-sighted. This has nothing to do with nothing. And that's just, JJ lost me with that. Like, you can pound the table all you want to, but it just didn't make sense. It didn't make any sense.
Conflating the two issues, two separate things. And it's a repeat offender at that. And he seems to be flaunting it. It's not just a thing that he's doing it very publicly, showing out, showing off. And that's what, there's something going on mentally. The NBA isn't responsible for fixing that. He's got enough money to go to therapy. If he wants to call me, again, I'm not licensed, but apparently people want to share their thoughts with me.
That man lost $30 million and just did it again. It was just like, well, it's gone. Just do the same, literally the same thing again.
Nothing kind of clicked for him with that situation. I don't know if anything's going to click now.
The next time Jalen gets to do a really poorly planned and executed interview with Ja, can the first question be, bro, what do you own a gun for? You, not asking why you don't travel with someone who owns a gun. I'm asking you, why are you holding a gun? You've got money to pay people to do that, right? Like licensed people to do that. You can essentially have your own secret service. Why are you always the one with the gun in your hand? That's all. That's the first question I want answered.
I don't know. It's an unfair question. I probably shouldn't ask it. I always looked at Ja as a little arrogant. I always saw him as that type of individual. And then that's why I think I said that when the first thing happened. I was like, it's kind of arrogant. It's an arrogant move. Like, I can just do it again. No, nothing's going to happen to me. Do you think he gets it this time, Olivia?
I don't know, but I'm with you on the arrogant part. And that's the thing about being a professional athlete. You have to have a little bit of arrogance to get to where you want to be. You have to have a little chip on your shoulder saying, people have been doubting me, they're doubting us. Like, even though a lot of times people aren't really talking about you. But he and the entire Grizzlies team, they were very arrogant at the beginning of this season. And as the time progressed, they got more and more arrogant. Ja came out talking about, I'm not worried about the Western Conference. We got this. Again, you got to have a little bit of arrogance to be able to believe in yourself, which is something I always want people to do. Believe in yourself. But you're towing the line there when you're haven't really done anything in the playoffs yet to be talking about the Western Conference is handled. And he carries that arrogance off the court, clearly, thinking he's above and beyond what the rules are. I think if they hit him in the pocket, they hit him with a big suspension in terms of numbers of games, it might turn him around, but some internal work has to happen there. And you have to be open to that. He doesn't seem like he's open to that at this point. From the videos, it doesn't seem like he's like iffy. He seems excited to be participating in this kind of behavior. So go ahead. Sorry.
To Damian's point, he already got hit in the pockets.
Yeah.
And it didn't even matter.
Yeah.
He already got hit in the pockets.
Did you see the thing on social media? Did you see the thing on social media yesterday or in the last couple of days about how the NBA needs
John Wick?
Not that one. About how the NBA needs to allow these interviews to take place.
Which interviews?
These interviews, we just said it. I'm good in the West.
Oh,
those types of interviews. You got to stop letting the baddies do them, because as soon as a baddie starts talking to you, you start lying.
They be having them threads, so they be like, they just say anything.
The second a baddie start talking to you, you instinctively start lying, and that's what John Moran did. Taylor started talking to him, and that man just started lying to her. Oh,
whatever. Man.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
I didn't get back to Peter Vesey.
Wait, this is why LeBron always talked to Jim Gray. This is why right here. That's why LeBron talks to Jim Gray.
Tom Brady. LeBron talks to Jim Gray.
Ain't no lies told to Jim Gray. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I don't know if he gets it, man. I hope he does. Like I've always said, man, just, as another man in general, man, seeing a young guy like that, I want to see him get it. He has the opportunity to change, the fortunes of his family for generations to come.
On the court, though, he's nasty.
Oh, he's
nasty.
He's a bad boy.
Like, don't let this be your story.
Right.
Yep. You got to own your story.
There you go.
Come on, man. So own your
that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Got to be yours. Ownyourstory.com's got to be yours. There, come on, look at that. We got you. That's Maybach. Oh, that's Olivia Christian. Make sure you're following. Get your own. Where can you get Own Your Story merchandise?
On my website, oliviachristian.co. That's oliviachristian.co.
We know what that's like when you can't afford the M. Like that happened to us too. We had to go.
Can't afford the M.
We had to go. We just came up. We were .net till like 6 months ago.
.co is way cooler than .net. Oh my
God. 100%. .net is the worst.
The .net.
Yeah, .net is the worst, dude. We used to use the ESPN 1320 website. Find it on your own. Make sure you're following Olivia across her social media platforms so you don't miss a single episode of The Game Last Night Cap or The Game Last Night, available on YouTube and Spotify as well. We'll come back. A lot more to talk about. I want to play the clip in its entirety that Kevin John posted on social media this week. Kevin's going to join us in about a half hour. I don't want to take up our time with him playing something he already said. But if you haven't heard it, I desperately want you to, and we'll have that for you with Dealer and KC, brought to you by Sky River Casino. Returns here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. Great stuff, O-Dog.
May back out.
Thanks, guys.
Is it hot there?
Yes, not yet. It's the May gray thing. So
Oh,
around,
yeah. Okay.
yeah, it's starting to burn off, and then it'll get hot. But what's the video? What are the?
Kevin John he posted something about like his battle with mental health. It was really good. Yeah. You know Kevin, right? You've met him before.
I don't know if I have. I need to look it up.
I think
It's mental health,
but it's hard. Yeah.
Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
Well, I watched a little bit of the NBA Draft Combine. I actually really hate that it's called a combine. It seems like, can we call it like a showcase or something? It feels,
Meat market.
yeah, it feels inappropriate.
I know what it like. Yeah. I mean, that's essentially what it is, though.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't watch any of it. I don't watch either combine. That just does not interest me at all.
Well, they were playing. They had a tournament yesterday, or the beginning of the tournament yesterday. So it wasn't like I wasn't watching them like measure how high they can jump or their muscles and stuff. Like I don't like to watch that stuff. But they were playing, and Mark Spears came on, and he was talking about how he knew of some guys who turned down, or at least one particular guy turned down a 6-figure NIL deal to get in the draft. And it's like, we have totally changed this conversation. We have allowed the NCAA to change the conversation completely away from them paying these players to whether or not they should bet on themselves and try to get one of these 58 spots, as opposed to just taking the NIL deal and staying. I'm like, this is wild to me. Anyways.
No, I got
I'm
you.
still watching basketball.
Yeah, it's a weird conversation. The NIL conversation is still so weird.
It is. I
Because
think
it's still like dirty.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not out there. Like some of it's out. Like the was my girl's name at LSU, Angel Reese. She had the big wing stop thing. Like that's cool, but like that's not the only money she got coming in. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the weird thing. I'm still learning about NIL stuff.
For the women, for sure. They're like, we're staying in college. Going to the WNBA is not it. But But in any case. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
Appreciate y'all. Have a great day.
You too. Bye. Let me see. Don't end broadcast.
Yeah, that's it. Don't end broadcast. Shout out to Facebook. I don't know where y'all came from, but shout out to Facebook. Yeah, Facebook in here tough right now. Bro.
No.
Got him. Girl, you better. What the hell is going on here? Yeah, man, she making money. Here comes the money.
Or
where did y'all on Facebook come? Can y'all hit the thumbs up and like and all that stuff? I don't know where y'all came from. We're just happy that you're here. That is so funny. And Snoop had to save him.
Who?
Snoop.
What happened?
When Shane blew out his quad, 20 seconds after his return, he got to the ring. He was blown up from that long ramp. Kevin.
Did you see? Oh, I wish I would have tagged you guys. They had like one of the worst botches.
I seen that when you posted it, and
I did retweet it with Kevin.
Yeah, I saw that.
Couldn't get him up for the jab.
Was it Big Show? You couldn't.
No, it was like a regular dude.
Oh no. Shout out to Olivia for being with us. Always appreciate her time with us each week. We're excited. We're going to be talking to Kevin John. I have no explanation for this, but it's Kevin's first time on the show.
Yeah. Bad job by us.
Bad, like real bad. Michael Jackson bad. Not good. We got to do better. But I'm excited Kevin's going to be with us. Kevin posted a video that got a lot of attention on social media that we're excited to talk to him about. Again, he's going to be with us in about 30 minutes. I didn't want to play this clip when he joined us because that takes away from our time with him. But if you didn't see it, I want you to hear it now. This is our guy, Kevin John, over at ABC 10.
Well, going along with the theme of this show, I want to take a few minutes to share something that's on my heart. Mental health matters. I'm sure you've heard those 3 words a lot lately, particularly in the month of May, which is recognized as Mental Health Awareness Month. In fact, This season, Sacramento Republic FC debuted their newest kits, which has a patch promoting 988. That's the National Suicide in Crisis Lifeline. You know, it's great to see the progress that's been made to address this issue affecting so many, but it hasn't always been that way. For a long time, discussing mental health or seeking therapy almost seemed taboo, especially when it comes to men. As a man, you're taught to be strong, resilient, decisive, courageous, and no matter what, never show weakness. Now, don't get me wrong. Those are some great qualities, a lot of them. But what happens when you encounter failure? Or for lack of better words, when you just get beat down? Now, according to the AADA, roughly 10% of men experience depression or anxiety, but less than half of them seek treatment. Now, even more startling, according to the CDC, men die by suicide nearly 4 times more than women. I get it, though. It's tough to seek help when you're at rock bottom. The truth of the matter is, I know because I've been there before. Several years ago, I was at rock bottom. I was going through the worst chapter in my life. I was so depressed, I couldn't even get out of bed. Most days, I had to encourage myself that life was worth living. But I didn't say anything. I decided to man up, tough it out, and go to work each day and put on my best face. Well, eventually, it took a toll on me. It got so bad that one day, I contemplated taking my life. In fact, I started to record a video for loved ones, so at least they knew what happened to me. As you can imagine, I was conflicted because I knew deep down this was not a rational decision. And at that moment, believe it or not, I still believed I had purpose in this world. Part of that is thanks to my faith. So immediately following that episode, I ended up seeking therapy and seeing a mental health professional, and boy, I'm really glad I did. I was diagnosed with severe depression and was given the proper treatment I needed. I say all of that to say this. I know it may feel difficult reaching out for help. In fact, you may feel ashamed. That's exactly how I felt. But that's okay. And you know what else is okay? Not being okay. But make sure you seek help if that's you. Believe me, and I'll say this 100 times, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Every single person on this earth has a purpose. Sometimes it may be difficult to find it in the midst of turmoil, but I promise you this, the only sure way not to find it is by harming yourself. As Fred Rogers once said, quote, "There is no normal life that is free of pain. It's the very wrestling with our problems that can be the impetus for our growth." And yes, mental health matters.
Incredible stuff from our guy, Kevin John, right there, courtesy of
Unbelievable.
ABC 10. We are really excited to talk to Kevin for a variety of different reasons. Coming up at about 2:15 or so, Kevin John will be with us. You don't hear those subjects talked about a lot. Kevin mentioned how difficult it is for men to talk about mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it for him. It's even more difficult for Black men to talk about mental health because, as for the same reasons as you're taught to be a certain way and expected to be a certain way. And that beat down that Kevin was talking about is expected to just be perceived as normal.
Right.
And for him to share his story the way he did, for those who were watching with the accompanied video that he was talking about during that moment right there, it's just tremendous stuff.
Yeah, no,
absolutely incredible.
I was that was moving to see that and to see his openness with his struggles in his journey. You know, putting, you know, for those who saw the video, putting the video up that he had, you know, when he was struggling with it and contemplating taking his life. I mean, that is that's strong stuff in itself, to be that vulnerable, that open, to not only your journey, but to the rest of the world. I mean, this is something that, you know, we know him locally here, but this is something that needs to be nationwide. Like, everybody needs to see this. And I hope, you know, it gets that type of
well, that's one of the rare good things from Twitter, right? Is we may know Kevin John locally, but that video That video that you just heard or just saw is out there in front of the world now.
Yeah, man, it was powerful stuff, man. And I was, Kevin is, since I met him, just been one of the more positive people you'll ever come across, which is also shocking that, he went through what he went through.
Right.
But that's just another reminder that you never know what people are going through.
Mm-hmm.
You never know, what they're dealing with, what they're trying to fight through, and what they're battling with. And yeah, it was, like I said, it was very moving to see that from him. And I was happy that, he was open enough to share that with everybody.
It's hard reaching out for help. I did once, and I'll be very honest, it didn't work for me. I think you have to connect with the person that you're talking to. And I didn't connect with the person I was talking to. I felt like I was talking to someone who had a job. And I left like this didn't work. I think I met with her like 5 or 6 times. Just like, I don't feel like this is doing what I want it to do. I don't know what it's supposed to do, but it's not doing anything. And so I walked away from it. But it's a difficult process. But you heard him. If you need to reach out to somebody, like you should. There was the Sac Republic 988 jersey. That's the number. Use it. There's always someone out there who will listen.
Yeah, man, and it's one of those things where it's ironic that Kevin's on the show today, and we're talking about this. This morning I was looking for a therapist and trying to get a therapy session. I've never had therapy before, but for a while I've been wanting it because, I've heard the virtue of now people being more open about having it. And I think everybody needs some form of therapy, and needs to talk to somebody. And I'm no different. So, I was looking for that and trying to find, the right therapist or just get the process started. Because I think it's very important. The way I've never gone through it, but the way I look at it, just communicating your feelings with somebody instead of holding them in and everything else like that. I'm the type of person, only child, dealt with stuff myself my entire life. I do that to this day. And sometimes that, you just balls up inside of you, festers, and it comes out, when you least expect it or anything like that.
Middle of a radio show. You just never know.
Whenever, what I mean? But it's going to come out, and having that therapy and talking to somebody maybe allows it to, allows your thoughts to get out, in a natural way, in a constructive way, not a destructive way. So, like I said, I'm like everybody else. I know we talk about it all the time about, I'm never bothered, never in a hurry. Man, I'll be stressed. I'll be stressed all the time, and I show it differently, or I don't show it, or whatever.
I think that's what you do, is you don't show it.
Yeah.
Y'all know when I'm not happy. Everybody watching the show knows when I'm not happy about something, but that's how I wear stuff. Like I wear, like I literally wear it.
Yeah.
You just tuck it away.
Yeah. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, I don't know if that's the best for me. I got kids. I want them to see, different ways than what I was brought up seeing, or whatever the case may be. So I'm like, let me try this first step and talk to somebody. My therapy really was for a long time, and I don't even know if this is healthy. It was basketball. I'm going through something. I would just bury myself in a workout session. I'd be shooting or working out for hours and go play. And after I was done, I felt good. My troubles didn't go away, but I felt better. I felt like I could, attack what was in front of me a little better. And when you get older, you have kids, you got a family, you got a job. I don't always get that opportunity. So it's like, damn, where I get the release from now? And hopefully it's from talking to somebody. So
yeah, but I can relate to the unhealthy outlet, because this is mine. This right here. Like, there's a lot of times I'm angry up until 11:59, or frustrated or stressed or worried till 11:59. 12 to 4. Good. We've talked about that. We've said that a million times. This job is significantly more stressful than we'll ever let on. And it's the parts before 12 and the parts after 4 that will drive you crazy. But this part with the chatty house and the people listening and the people who have never once met us or never once sent a comment to us, this is the part that's fun, because this is where you get lost in conversations and you can make trades or have serious conversations or silly conversations or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
But there's some days where it's like, man, 4 o'clock's about to hit. All right.
Take a deep breath. Like, all right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go.
And you go attack it. And like I said, I don't think, I don't know. I've never had it. I don't think therapy is something, I think people look at it as like it's going to get rid of your problems. It's not going to get rid of your problems, but it helps you navigate how to maneuver through those issues a little better. Or maybe it gives you a different POV that you weren't aware of, so you can look at it. It's just a tool, and I think it's a valuable tool for everybody. And when I say therapy, it don't have to be with a therapist. Get with somebody that you trust and and that you feel comfortable just expressing yourself to. And that's therapy in itself. It doesn't have to be with a licensed therapist or anything like that.
And the most important part about whichever route you choose to take, I think, is honesty. That's one thing that I questioned in my time going to therapy was I honest with this person? Like, I think I was, but I don't know if I was. Like, was I completely real with this individual? Because if you're not, they probably can't help you. Like, if I wasn't honest about why I'm at this point in my life, why I'm in Sacramento, why I'm at this job, why I'm at this particular point. If I wasn't honest with her, like, what do I expect her to do about it? If I'm just up there telling her what I want her to hear, what am I going to get out of that? Yeah. That's the one piece of advice I feel like I can give you and anybody who's considering it, is whoever you talk to, be honest with them. Because if you're lying to them, you're just lying to yourself. And you can save about $100 to $200 a session by just continuing to lie to yourself rather than paying to lie to somebody else. If you meet with a therapist, be honest with her.
Yep.
Be honest with them.
Yep. For sure.
You're listening to D-Lo and KC on KIFM West Sacramento, 98.5 FM, KRX QHD2 Sacramento, ESPN 1320, always live on the free Odyssey app. Again, Kevin John coming up in 15 minutes. And Matt George closes out Batty Thursday in the final hour of the show. In preparation.
Any Batty Thursday shirts.
I'm with that.
Hashtag Batty Thursday.
I'm with that. Yeah. In preparation for Matt George, just talk a little Sacramento Kings basketball. We'll by the way, we'll talk sports with Kevin John. Like Kevin John is a sports reporter. Like we'll talk sports with Kevin John. I'm gonna commend him on his video, and we'll let the conversation goes wherever it goes. But we're going to talk sports with Kevin John for sure. And if you've never had the opportunity to meet Kevin, man, you've got to. If you see him out, if you see him around, he is a great dude and the ultimate hype man. The ultimate hype, just like our girl Mickey over at 98 Rock.
That's my girl right there.
Ain't nobody will hype you up like Mickey hypes you up.
Yeah, that's my girl right there. Shout out Mickey. Number one. Yes, indeed. Bobby Marks writes about, you mentioned listening to Bobby Marks on the morning roast. Bobby writes about each team that gets eliminated from the playoffs as they get eliminated from the playoffs over at ESPN. And obviously he wrote about the Sacramento Kings when they were eliminated by the Golden State Warriors. And having dove into that for the first time over the weekend, one thing that really stood out to me is, and remember, or I'll fill you in for those that don't know, Bobby was high on the Kings entering the season. He was ready to get burnt again because he's been burned before by this team. Right.
But he's like, there's no excuse for this team not to be good. I believe out of 15 ESPN reporters, he was the only one who thought Sacramento was going to beat Golden State. So Bobby knows what this team is. But one thing that really stood out to me is he said the Sacramento Kings need to make it their number one priority to sign their own free agents. Now, James laid out for us, and not in any way, shape, or form attempting to be disrespectful. I think this kind of takes Alex Len out of the equation. But James laid out financially how that's all relatively easy.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes Sasha. But it just kind of surprised me that Bobby didn't really talk about taking the next step.
Yeah.
He said the best path for the Kings, paraphrasing a little bit, but the best path for the Kings is to run it back and use their mid-level to go grab someone.
Now, I was always confused. So the mid-level, when we talked to James, that was going to be used on Trey Lyles, right?
Was that the biannual or was that Sasha? Because I can't remember in the specific scenario that James used, there was a free agent involved.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if it was, I don't think it was Kyle Kuzma.
I think it was Kelly Oubre.
It was Kelly Oubre. That's exactly who it was. It was Kelly Oubre, Harrison Barnes, Trey Lyles, and Sasha. So I think in the scenario we lost Terrence and we lost Alex Len.
Yeah.
But I can't remember how he laid that all out.
I don't know. My head was spinning.
There was well, when he said it,
he broke it down. In the midst of it, like I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then I'm trying to go back and remember. I was like, man, how did we get here?
It's these slotted salaries of mid-level. And James, I didn't admit this on yesterday. James worked in a slot I'd never heard before. He said like what was it, like the make room exception or something, like what the I'm sitting there like for like 30 seconds. I'm looking at James like, I think he just made this up.
I remember hearing that too. I was like, well, James knows more than I do.
I mean, James knows the cap. Like, I don't know what letters he just used and what I've never heard that salary before. But if James has heard it, hey, let's go.
Go with it.
I'm with it. Who we signing with that one?
The make
room. That's definitely not what it was, but
they need to have one of those.
A make room
Every
exception.
team gets a make room exception.
Has no cap figure on it either. It's just an infinite amount of money. Got to make room for Kyrie Irving, but it's taxed like 3.5 times or something like that.
You can use it if you want, but could get pricey.
You signing someone to a $10 million contract that's signing them to a $40 million contract.
That's what the Warriors did with Kelly Oubre. Didn't essentially they paid him like $60 million for the 1 year?
Well, they didn't pay him. They paid for him.
Right. His contract was like $13 million.
Yeah.
But it ended up being like $60 million.
The Athletic in one of their in something I think that was posted, I think it was Anthony Slater, had the Draymond number, where if they re-sign Draymond Green at, even if it's what he's due, I think 27, I think they said if you re-signed him at 27, it would cost you, I think it was like 120 or 30 something.
What?
Oh,
per year or just for the life of the contract?
Like no, per year.
Oh my God.
Because it's it's the next tier of penalties, which I think was $4.75 per dollar. $4.75 for every dollar spent.
Man.
So I go back to Joe Lacob's remarks about, these were made years ago when the latest tax penalties started to become a conversation. And Joe Lacob's winning championships with, I think he's coming off the heels of the Kevin Durant title, or, maybe it's around the Kevin Durant injury. He's like, if we're winning titles, I'll pay for it. Okay. Well, what if you're not?
Yeah.
Now I get the last NBA champion was the Golden State Warriors. That group, they got another one in them. And that's the question Joe Lacob has to answer. And he probably has to answer that without interference from Steve Kerr or Draymond. And truthfully, I know this is blasphemous. It's got to be without Steph Curry as well. Like, you have to figure out that answer on your own, because Steph, just like Dre, just like Clay, just like Steve Kerr, of course they believe they can win a championship. You have to make that. You have to figure that out. You got to rely on your guys for sure, but you got to make that decision on your own, because athletes, coaches, those in a competitive environment are always going to believe that they can win.
I wanted to see, and this is very inexact, but I said, how much revenue do the Warriors bring in per year?
Oh, it's got to be. It's got to be.
Take a guess?
No.
Jesse, you want to take a guess?
He's not listening to us. That's fine. He doesn't like it. He tuned us out too. That's fine.
I'm listening.
It's Thursday. He tuned us out.
I'm listening. I'm
After the
editing the
first
pod
segment, he
for
was
later.
It's like, Jesse literally said he hated the first segment of the show, and he hasn't listened to us since.
I'm listening. I'm editing.
He's tuned us out just in case we're talking about the
I asked him,
Celtics.
he's like, I'm not listening. What? I'm not listening. What?
It was a question that had nothing to do with nothing. You can go back to editing.
$765 million.
So I was going to say $1 billion. So
that's what I thought too. But I looked that up because I was like, well, all right, how much are they paying in contracts? They're paying like through, well, not this year, but through this whole situation with the new cap and all the new CBA. Isn't it like they're paying like $400 million in contract? 500.
It's not at 4 yet. I think Joe Lacob once set the threshold. He was like, I'm not paying $400 million. So it's not there yet.
Yeah.
But if you want everyone back, it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be at $400 million. And I think it's going to eclipse $400 million by a lot. So they're in the vicinity. I think I think they're in the low threes right now. And if I remember correctly, they're in the low threes, and I feel like the Clippers are way behind them.
The Clippers are they're in
they're
that
second,
category,
but they're behind
not
them.
Even close. It's not even close. That's a lot of money. And
is that the highest in the league? Do you know? In terms of
know.
revenue made for a team?
Well, the revenue of the Golden State Warriors franchise reached $765 million in 21-22. This was a new record for the franchise. So I don't know.
Okay.
In the year or in the entire league. But you compare that to, like, say, the Kings, who are under the cap. And the Kings, I'm not going to say they made 765, but they probably made 5.
Who?
The Kings.
No, they didn't.
They didn't make 5?
If this list I just found is right, they did not.
What you see?
This is the 21-22 season. Holy crap. I got 765 for Golden State. And they're number 1. Number 2
Phoenix
is the Los Angeles Lakers. $300 million less.
Wow.
$465 million for the Los Angeles Lakers. The Knicks right behind them, the Brooklyn Nets, Dallas, the Clippers, Boston at 361. The Sacramento Kings are at 279. $279 million in revenue. Again, this is a single season, the 2021-2022 season.
765. That's astronomical.
It's in comparison to the Los Angeles Lakers, who are saying it's $300 million more.
Wow. And one of the things that I always think about with that,
you could add the Kings and the Lakers together, and it doesn't make what the Warriors make.
Is I think about TV deals, and the Lakers have their own TV network.
So
and they still couldn't get to $700 million.
I'm so fascinated. Like, I mean, there's ticket sales, I assume, that go into this, concessions that go into this, jersey sales that go, television money. I mean, we know the Warriors have one of the highest locally rated television productions. That's why Bonte Hill's such a big star.
Yeah,
everyone's watching.
You see the lapel, you see the shoes.
Well, that's why, because everybody's like, hey, you see these numbers? Give me my money. You see how much more money we make than the Los Angeles Lakers.
Bonte has a spaceship too.
That's not surprising.
No,
all the big dog, all you people have spaceships.
Well, settle down.
We'll come back. We'll talk a lot more about the Kings. Kevin John's going to try to Man, I'm thrown by that Warriors-Lakers thing. That's incredible. Kevin John joins us. Matt George on the way. Much more ahead. It's D'Lo and Casey, brought to you by Sky River Casino here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. I had to get up for a second.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised. I didn't hear the entire context of it, so I don't want to. Who are these people now? There's new people left and right in this place. What the hell's going on around here? I didn't hear the whole thing, so I don't want to speak. But where people say that happens a lot, it's art, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
It does make a lot of sense because why is this much money? Only one thing that really makes sense. Nah, dentist's office, that's a rich place. I ain't never gonna take that away from them. That's a rich place. No, that's a fact. That's a fact. Although, wasn't the that's a fact. Wasn't the games were more expensive at the Golden One this year in the playoffs, weren't they?
Yeah, I think for the playoffs they were.
Then the hotel lobby. I think this is what betting is all about a lot of the time. I put money on Loma. I'm not sure he's going to win. I didn't pick him to win, but that seems like a good bet. If he's the underdog, he can win that fight. Oh, look at Ramsey and Katrina out here having a love conversations in our chat. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Say hi to them brothers from Def Jam real quick.
They from Def Jam? Yeah. Oh. I'll be back, guys. I'll be back.
Oh man. What y'all in here talking about? Shout out Cocoa 5. This stuff is actually really good. This passion fruit flavor is the shit. Legit.
Moves in.
Cocoa 5 better than Zoa. Two really different drinks. Zoa is an energy drink. Cocoa 5 is like a rehydrator. Live on the Odyssey app, live on twitch.tv/ESPN1320, youtube.com/ESPN1320. Kevin John set to join us here coming up shortly. Matt George joining us in the final hour of the show. We got sidetracked talking about the Warriors.
All the money they make.
And how much money they make. When my original question was, or was going to be, do you agree with, it's a really long way to get to this after examining who makes the most. By the way, I'm really curious to see what the Kings revenue number is coming off of, because that was 21-22. Yeah. That's Puke Guy. That was the sparse crowds and all that other stuff. That's and by the way, that's still, let's see who they're higher. They're higher than Detroit, OKC, Denver, Orlando. They're higher than Memphis, Minnesota, Charlotte, New Orleans, and Indiana. Indiana's dead last.
Damn. Yeah, this year I think they're going to be middle to top 10. They sold out that place. They created new seats for like the last month and a half.
Top 10, probably a stretch, closer to the middle, potentially likely.
Who's 10?
10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is the Houston Rockets, who's above the Philadelphia 76ers, the Miami Heat, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know, bro.
That is cool.
I don't know, bro.
The Houston Rockets at 21-22.
Let's welcome in our brother Kevin John. Now, this is fantastic. Take a look at Kevin John here, ABC 10. We're going to see Matt George in damn near the same exact location in about an hour.
Are we at Kevin's desk? Kevin, this is your desk, right?
Yeah, this is my desk, and it's funny. I was actually telling Matt George, that's my colleague, I was telling him I'm his warm-up act for today. So, he's the headliner. I'm just here to warm it up for him.
Well, first of all, welcome to Batty Thursday. You're officially on Batty Thursday.
Yeah,
and I say that because for people who've seen the show, sometimes when we talk to Matt, we see Kevin in his seat.
Mm-hmm.
And we always, what does the angle look like? What's the office? Well, now it's reverse.
So it's the reverse.
It trips me out right now. And then we're going to see it back in the other way.
Poor Kevin just trying to do his job and Matt doing a stupid radio show in his little area over there.
Well, I cannot tell you, I am thrilled and honored to be on Matt's stupid radio show today.
So let's start with this. Let's start with an apology. I can't come up with a good reason why it's taken so long for this to happen. To have you on, we see you 41 times a year, and we talk 41 times a year at the Goal One Center, and for some reason, it's just we just never did this. 2, we played the video that you posted earlier this week in its entirety. That was tremendous. As someone who has gotten to know you over the last couple of years, I'm thankful for you sharing that video. And I think one thing, in Casey kind of alluded to this a few minutes ago, for the people who watched your video, one thing that's really important to know about Kevin is no matter who you are, Kevin is your biggest cheerleader. Mm-hmm. And smiling, dancing, laughing, hyping you up. To know that you went through that, I think is extremely powerful for a lot of people out there. So well done, my friend.
Well, thank you. I and Damian, both of you guys, Kenny, you guys have always been supportive of me since day one when I arrived in Sacramento 4 years ago. Never forget, you guys welcomed me with open arms. You were always courteous to me. And as we all know in this business, especially the media business, not everybody is always your friend. Mm-hmm. And there's people in the background that'll smile in your face and say things about you behind your back. And you guys have always been so authentic, so genuine. And I really appreciate that. That means the world to me. So I thank both of you guys. And I think that's why you guys have been so successful at what you do, is because viewers and people, they relate to that. What do they say? Real recognizes real. That's and you guys have really epitomized that ever since I had the opportunity to know you. So I'm definitely grateful for your guys' friendship, both personal and professionally. So thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate that, Damian. And, I think the key is, and you kind of said it off the top, is that, depression does not discriminate. mental health struggles does not discriminate. It doesn't matter your race, your creed, your religion type, your color. It'll find you. And it's, if you don't deal with it, it'll find you. And, Damien, one of the reasons why I always try to be positive is because I know how it feels to hit rock bottom. I know how it feels to be beat down. I know how it feels when you feel like you've been ostracized or for lack of better words, you've just been singled out. So like, I never want anyone to feel that way, which is why I always try to be kind. Now, don't get me twisted. There are some times when I do get upset. I am a human being. I have emotions, but one of my favorite quotes is the best way to cheer up yourself is to cheer on somebody else. And that's what I try to do.
Hey man,
you see that? You literally just saw it. Like I said all of these things about Kevin and what he do. He made it about us.
Yeah,
that's Kevin John right there,
him,
man.
And you know what? The thing that I've always felt from Kevin when I first met him, and then knowing him and talking to him and getting to experience it, it's all genuine. I think that's the most important thing. There's nothing fake about him. There's it's just genuine. It's genuinely wanting to see others do well, genuinely being happy for others when they do well. And it's something that you can't put into words what it means. I know to myself, to Damien, to others, to have that type of energy, especially like you mentioned in this industry, you know what I mean? And, it feels weird for me to say it, because I mean, at the very least, we're like the same age. But man, I was so proud of you, being as transparent and open and doing what you did, man. Because I know it helped a lot of people. I know it did, man. To see somebody in your position and say, hey, I'm human too. I've gone through things. You're not alone. You can get through this. It's powerful, man. So I was very proud of you for doing that.
Well, thank you, Kenny. And real quick, I do something I want to say about Kenny too. As some of you guys know, I'm currently in the last step of earning my master's degree, and it's been a long process. It's been a 3-year process. I have my meeting on Monday to defend it amongst the committee. But Kenny, I remember there were so many times throughout the season when you would come and be like, "Hey, how's the project coming along, Kevin? How's the master's coming along? Are you getting there?" And every time I tell you, I'd be like, "Man, it's a hurdle, but I'm getting there." So, I appreciate you for holding me accountable and, always checking up on that to make sure that it's that I'm working on that. But, kind of like you said there, when I did that piece, part of the reason what kind of led me to doing that piece, as we all know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And Ricky Williams, the kids nowadays probably are not familiar with him, but he's one of the greatest college running backs of all time. He went to University of Texas, was drafted to the Saints, played for the Dolphins, and he had throughout his career, it was marred with some controversial moves that he made. But he was one of the first people to really speak out in trying to destigmatize mental health. So he was gracious enough to come on the show this Sunday, and he was talking about mental health and being an athlete, how you always, as an athlete, you're seen as someone who's superior. You're seen as somebody who's like this warrior, this mythological god, Hercules, whatever you want to call it. And the fact that Ricky was able to be that transparent about his mental health struggles and, his use of cannabis in order to help out with that. And just to be extremely vulnerable, that was kind of what inspired me to share my personal story. So I kind of have to say I appreciate him because, he gave me the faith and the courage to say, I'm like, if this dude, all pro running back can come up here and talk about his struggles, then I know my skinny, non-athletic self can, be vulnerable and transparent about the things that have gone on with me in my life. And, while I was initially a little reluctant, I was initially a little terrified because I'm like, dang, people may judge me from this. They may ridicule me. They may, look at me as like, I don't know, a weak AF or whatever the heck. I was like, well, as long as it helps one person, then that's all that matters,
Well, it helped us. So you got 2 right here that it helped, man. So well done. Before we segue, just a kind of a random. Have you ever used a bad word before?
Oh, I'll say this.
Like, is darn it as tough as it gets? Like, is that where? Whoa, Kevin,
Watch him out.
Hey, Kevin is fired up today.
I'll say this: if you hung out with me when I played Madden in my dormitory in undergrad, you would have heard curse words flying left and right. You know that. When I get on the joystick playing Madden, that's when the insanity comes out.
Believable. Nothing will get you to cuss quicker than a video game. I get that.
Dang it! I threw it to the wrong receiver. I meant to throw it to X. I pressed 0. God,
Game cheating.
Game is always cheating. Like, we've been hoodwinked by these things for decades. The game always cheating. Let's segue here, man. As great as this conversation is, and again, we appreciate you for bringing it to the forefront of everybody's mind here this week. NBA season still going on. Let's start with the Kings. How was it for you covering the Kings this year?
Magical. I mean, it was an incredible experience.
That's important right there. You can answer that.
It's someone from Sacramento Republic.
Probably Matt George is probably what it is. Matt George trying to be funny.
You know what? And Matt is always, I wouldn't be shocked if Matt tries to come in 2 seconds and just try to distract me or do something crazy in the background. We all love Matt George though. But yeah, covering the Kings this year was absolutely magical. Last year was my first year covering the Kings full time. And when I say last year, the 2021-2022 season, that was my first full year of covering the Kings. And it was, and keep in mind at that particular time, when I came in 21-20, that was the 15th straight season that they had missed the playoffs. So we were entering the 16th season of that playoff drought. And I remember being there during the summer workouts, media session during the summer. And I just remember at the time, Sean Cunningham, who works for Fox 40, he was working at ABC 10 with me. And I remember telling him, I was like, dude, there's something special about this team. Just listening to the veterans talk, which is funny because at that time they had a completely different roster. You had Tristan Thompson, who was on that team, obviously. Oh, man. Who shout out Tristan Thompson is on the Lakers right now, trying to somewhat getting no time at all.
And man has played in the playoffs.
Yeah, right. But anyway, it was funny. I was telling Sean, I was like, man, just the energy that you see from this team. Luke Walton. By the way, I know that's a name probably not to bring up, but I just remember talking to him that day. And I told Sean, I was like, man, there's something special about this team. I can feel the energy. And he looked at me and he said, poor Kevin, you have not been covering the Kings long.
Look, for a second, I was like, did I hear him wrong? He's talking about last year's team, right? Something special. Yeah. I was like, did I hear him wrong?
I just knew as soon as you said Sean Cunningham, I was like, oh, he cut your dreams in half, didn't he?
He really did. He really did. He was like, Kevin, just give it some time. It was kind of like, a father talking to a young buck. Look there, young man. Just, give it some time and you'll see. So
there'll be guys puking at half court in no time, buddy. Just wait.
Oh my God. Yeah, that right there was pretty much the downfall. But, upon the conclusion of that season, 2022, I remember, and I even said on air, I was like, I feel like Boo Boo the Fool because I had extremely high amounts of optimism heading into the season before last, the 2021-22 season. And, I was thinking this is the year that they break the drought. Tyrese Halliburton was coming into his second year and was starting to grow. And you see these things and you're like, okay, they're onto something. And, the rug was pulled out underneath me. So I'm saying all that to say, to answer your question, Damian, what was it like covering them this year? Well, the irony is because of my experience, my first year covering them, 21-22, I had low expectations this year. Like I did not want to play. What is the saying? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Whatever the heck it is.
Fool
and
me,
I was like,
get fooled again. That's a good pull right there.
Exactly. And I was like, look, I'm not getting fooled again. I understand they went out and they got Mike Brown, a hell of a coach. I understand the acquisitions of Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter, getting all this shooting and everything that they did during the offseason coming into this season right here. I was like, yeah, I see it all, but I'm not going to get excited because lo and behold, they'll let us down. And then when they lost the first 4 games of this season, I was like, yep, see, this is why I didn't get excited, because the rug will be pulled out. So to answer your question, Damian, I say it was magical because I had to mentally have low expectations for this team this year. And they obviously exceeded all of that and then some.
Yeah. What was your favorite moment this year? If you have a couple, it doesn't have to be one, but if you have a couple, because you were, I think he was at all the games. Every time I was there, Kevin was there. So I'm assuming he was there at all the games. You saw all
There's sometimes Kevin walk in at like 10 o'clock. Did Kevin just get here? Yeah. 10 other things he had to do before covering the game.
Yeah, man. So what was your favorite moment or moments from this season, this magical season?
There's 2 that automatically stand out to me. The first one is when they played the Brooklyn Nets on national TV. I believe that was back in October or November, and it was on TNT. And it was their first nationally televised game on TNT in I don't know how long. And they absolutely mollywopped the Brooklyn Nets on live TV. And I'm talking, it wasn't like KD was out. It's funny because that was when KD was still on the Nets. So much stuff happened this season. But they came out and just destroyed them. And I remember Terrence Davis had like 31 or 32 points off the bench. And I just never heard Golden One Center that electric and that loud before my life. Up until the time I've been covering the Kings, I had never heard them that loud. And just to see what they did on that stage against a team who a lot of people had high expectations for last year. Brooklyn Nets are going to be a top 3 team, coming into this season. So that right there easily stands out to me. Just, lighting the beam on the national stage, if not the world, was just an incredible thing to see. And then the way that the Kings did it as well, not just offensively, but defensively, that game, they were really good. I think they held KD to like 22 or 23, something like that. But so that's the first moment that stands out to me. The second moment that stands out to me was in Portland. This was late April when the Kings, I know, as you guys remember, the Kings had several opportunities to clinch a playoff berth. One was at home. They had that home game. I think it was on Monday night or something. And they had an opportunity to clinch. I forgot who they were playing. It was
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Thank you. Minnesota. And they didn't do it. I remember everyone was so excited. People were calling that clinchmas or whatever. And then they had other opportunities and it just kept falling through. And you start to think, oh my goodness, the Kings are going to king. They're just, and this is what I was talking about last year about not getting my hopes up. We were all excited. So, I'm thankful our job sent us to Portland because that was a game that they had an opportunity. And, Portland at that point, they were tanking or excuse me, I don't know if I can say tanking, but Damian wasn't playing for the rest of the year.
They were not putting forth their best effort.
There you go. Good. Nice political way of saying it.
That's right.
Yeah, they weren't putting forth their best foot. So pretty much all signs were that, okay, this is the game the Kings are going to easily win. And being there and also seeing the amount of Kings fans who traveled to Portland to watch that game. And not just the simple fact that they won that game and clinched, but you also have Keegan Murray, who unfortunately his record was kind of upstaged by what the Kings did because he had the rookie record for most threes in a season, passing Donovan Mitchell. And that was a magical moment as well. So you have you have Keegan breaking the rookie record for most threes in a season. You have the Kings breaking the longest playoff drought in NBA history. And just to see the reaction, you guys talked about Matt George earlier. I turned to Matt George when once the game, I think there was like a minute left in the game. And it was pretty much at this point, the Kings had all but won. I start recording Matt and he's just, he's just getting all emotional and breaking down. And I think that pretty much summed up what that moment meant to Kings fans over this last 16 seasons, 17 years of just sorrow.
and pain. So those are probably the two moments that stand out the most to me.
Those two great moments.
It was magical because people were wiping tears that weren't
Oh,
there.
see?
They weren't even. I was just saying. Now, Kevin, you mentioned your expectations 2 seasons ago. You mentioned your expectations at the beginning of this last season that just concluded. Well, what are your expectations headed into next year?
That is a darn good question.
Thank you.
And that is a darn good question. I'll say this. Obviously, we now know the Kings are a very, very good ball club who can compete with the best in the NBA, the best teams in the NBA. Yeah. With that being said, looking at other teams in the turmoil, how many head coaches have been fired in the last two weeks? I mean, at this point, I lost track.
Damn, championship coaches. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Monty Williams, Doc Rivers, Mike Budenholzer, like it just goes on and on. And granted, these are great coaches who either have won championships or taken their team to the finals. Mm-hmm. So when you look at what's been going on around the league over the last few weeks, and you look at the Kings, and what I get it, they had a first round playoff exit. Typically, any team that has a first round playoff exit, that doesn't give you a lot of optimism coming into the next year. Like, first round playoff exit, we're going to kill it next year. But when you look at the makeup of this team, when you look at what they were able to do defensively against the Golden State Warriors, keep in mind, this is the Kings team who had been the bottom 5 in defensive efficiency the whole season. Granted, their offense was record, they had a record-setting offensive season. But when you saw the adjustments they were making in that series against the Golden State Warriors, and you saw a lot of things clicking that Mike Brown had been preaching throughout the year. I remember Mike Brown, the first day during his summer off session, he said straight up, if you guys don't play defense, you're not going to be on the floor. And, he was just describing his philosophy and everything of that sort. But to see that team click, to see De'Aaron play like a star on the highest level, the only thing that made me nervous about the Warriors series was they just had no answer for Kevon Looney, which is going to be a problem, looking forward, but that's a whole nother story. But when you saw what they did in that series, the fact that they took the defending champions to 7 games, even though it's a first round playoff exit, seeing guys like De'Aaron Fox rise to the occasion, seeing Keegan Murray gain his confidence back in game 4 and rise to the occasion. Malik Monk rise to the occasion. Mike Brown, obviously, and he knows the Warriors very well, but when you see all of that stuff going on, you're like, damn, this team is going to be great next year. Mm-hmm. Yes, I get it. There's some things they need to fix. There's a few boxes they need to check. Monty is going to be, actively, he's always active. It's not like this is an offseason for him to chill. So, but when you start looking at those kind of things coming into next year, I would be shocked, Damian and Kenny. I would be shocked if the Kings were anything less than a 4th seed in the Western Conference.
Okay.
I like that.
All right.
I like that.
I like it. I'm with it. Kevin, we love you, brother.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for sharing your story. And you are a tremendous asset to this community and this sports media world we live in, man. So we love you and we appreciate you. Thanks for joining us.
True champion, man. Kevin John, man.
God bless you guys, man. Thank you. You know what? If I die prematurely, you guys have to promise you'll give my eulogy at the funeral, okay? It's going to be D'Lo and Casey giving the eulogy. You promise me.
Well, promise you that's not going to happen. But I promise you that's a done deal. We got you, brother.
I appreciate you guys and all you do, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's our man Kevin John right there. ABC 10. Just tremendous stuff from our man Kevin John. We'll keep this ABC party going. We'll talk to Matt George coming up in just about an hour, and a couple of other things to pay attention to.
You asked, there's a couple other things, but you asked Kevin a question. I want to kind of talk about that.
That's a good tease.
About the Kings next season. I want to, something I was thinking about on the drive in.
You think a lot during
this. It's a long drive.
It is. We'll find out what Kenny was thinking on his way in with D'Lo and Casey return here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. Sorry, man. I need to go. You didn't get up. Go ahead.
You need to go? Go ahead. I can wait.
It's all right. You're all right. Go ahead.
13.
No, you good. Go ahead. Drink my Cocoa 5 instead of the water. So good. Cocoa 5. Oh, we got in here. Man, I hate this setup in front of me. I always get confused. There we go. What y'all in here talking about? Yeah, we'll get Kevin on more for sure. I honestly don't know why we haven't had one. I don't know why we don't have Kevin on more. I don't know why we haven't had Kevin on before. Like, we talk to that man all the time. But there's a reason for everything, right? And the fact that we were able to save our first conversation for after he posted that video, so we could talk about a little something deeper than sports. That's good stuff. I love that our show has the ability to do that, man. I love that our show has the ability to do that. And most of all, I love the fact that y'all hang around for it. I love the fact that y'all hang around for it, man. Yeah, Lazy, that drive Elk Grove to Roseville is lengthy. Lengthy. Oh, appreciate you, Dr. David. Yeah, no doubt. We appreciate you. D-Lo, you ever try the sports drink power lift? I haven't. I'm not really a big sports drink guy. I'm trying something out with this Cocoa 5. I only got the Cocoa 5 because I saw, Devin Booker talking about it after the D'Angelo Russell stuff. So when I looked into the company, I was like, oh, I'll support this company. And it's made with stuff I like coconut water and things like that. So I'm really just trying something out because I feel like my workouts have been a little stalled. My fitness level has been a little bit stalled. So I'm trying a couple of different things. I'm trying to be really strict about things I do. Like I've been monitoring, like this ring helps me monitor like levels of sleep. And I always looked at like sleep as, was I able to lay down and fall asleep? Right. But this shows you like when, like if you're in a deep sleep or in, like if you're kind of lightly sleeping. And I found if I had caffeine later in the day, I could still like go upstairs and go to sleep, but I wouldn't sleep as good. And it would affect my workouts. It would affect my thinking. So I've been really like strict with things that I've been doing lately in terms of less what I eat, because I'm already pretty strict with that, but more of what I drink. So I just started drinking this drink, but I'm not big into sports drinks at all. I've actually never heard of Prime, to be honest. Or I see y'all talking about Prime, but the one that Michigan brought up, Powerlift, I've never heard of that either.
These kids love that stupid Prime.
Is it a sports drink? What is it?
That's what it's supposed to be.
It's too sweet. It's not good.
It's no wonder Jake Paul and them did all that. The kid.
It's Jake Paul's drink. Okay,
goes crazy over that damn Prime.
It's got nothing on Gatorade, to be honest.
No.
Is that just like the celebrity endorser that's got him amped up? 25 calories, filtered water, coconut, caffeine. Oh, I'll try it. Matt George coming up a half hour from now. We'll talk Kings basketball with him. What was your question?
Well,
I'm intrigued.
Real quick, before I get to the question,
Okay.
there is something else that I want to bring up just real quick.
Okay.
I told you earlier I had the tweet out there about to all my Sacramento people. Would you rather what conversation we had yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Would you, if you can only get one, would you rather have NHL, MLB?
Mm-hmm.
That thing's going crazy right now. Literally going crazy. At first it was like very, very strong MLB. And lately, during the show or whatever, NHL started to pick up steam. So I still think it's MLB, but I can't even do the math. I didn't do a real poll. I just asked the question and people responded. I'd probably say
damn,
60-40 MLB over NHL. But people, They want one of the two.
Really should have made this a poll question. Marshall Harris said, "Come on, man, this is a no-brainer."
I don't even know.
I don't know what he's talking about. Which one does he mean?
I saw that too. I was like, I don't even know what that means. Which one, Marshall?
Well, there's old City fan. Oof, I wouldn't want either. Jesus.
And then he came
that
back,
guy.
He came back around and said MLB. So, but I say all that to say, like, I'm bringing all that up to say, it looks like, well, either of those, they both have to, like, there's a lot of things that have to happen for that to ever be a reality. It seemed more realistic to me than the MLS ever coming to Sacramento. I think that's over.
Yeah, so that kind of unofficially became over yesterday. What I guess what happened yesterday with San Diego was news, but we all knew it was going to happen. Like we knew what time it was. Y'all still inviting Ron Burkle to the barbecue?
Oh hell,
y'all still letting that dude take a picture of the rabbit?
Nah, he can't take a picture of the. He can't take a picture of the rabbit. No.
Shut it down.
Come on, man. That don't even mean nothing. You just laughing for no reason.
It's like dealing with a sophomore class.
Jeez.
Oh man. Well, look, man.
CM Punk. I work with a bunch of children.
No, man. Ron Burkle can't come through here. But I say MLS is dead because that gets them to 30. I can't imagine them going to 32.
Yeah.
Anytime soon at the very least. Like, we're talking a decade before they even think. So I think the MLB and NHL is more realistic than the MLS at this point.
Okay.
Once again, I would want MLB. And the crazy thing is, I think if Vegas falls through, which I can't imagine how it will. Well, I know how it will.
The A's?
Keeps asking the public for money, and they're going to say no. Like, he's going to have to do it himself. But if that falls through, I think he could turn his eye to Sacramento.
Okay, fair enough. But what about James's? Did you think James had a point yesterday or Monday when we were talking about this, and he's like, "You want that owner here? You want that owner a part of it? Like, you want to put that owner in charge of anything that has to do with this city, with our city?" Or is it like, yeah, we'll take the A's if you sell them to Vivek?
Right. No, I understand that.
Like, you think Ron Burkle's bad? Yo, this Fisher dude.
No, he's terrible. He's got awful. But I would say, yeah, just get Major League Baseball here, and then we'll deal with
figure
that
it out later. We'll figure out how to get your ass out of here later.
We'll deal with that later. So yeah, I know, but I know. James is right. Everybody who else says that is right. He's the worst. He is absolutely the worst. But yeah, if you could find a way to get them here, if they're not going to be in Oakland no matter what, like I'd obviously want them.
And that
to stay
appears
in
to be the case.
Yeah,
that appears to be the case. It does it feel like, and maybe it's because of maybe it's just kind of a confluence of events here, but probably spearheaded by the MLS stuff. This city's primed for another sports franchise.
Feels like it. It does feel like it, but you got to figure out how it's going to happen. Like the A's, I think that's the only way MLB happens. NHL can happen, but another reason why I wouldn't want that is they'd have to mess with the Golden One Center unless they built a new arena, and I don't want to mess with the Golden One Center if I can help it.
Well, what we keep
and
using the term.
Know what that looks
yeah,
like, to be honest with you.
It probably
you probably take some seats away.
It's probably some stuff. Like they probably take your seats away, which I understand would be problematic for you. The rest of us probably wouldn't notice the difference. You might have to sit a few feet further away than you normally do, but they keep talking about retrofit and how it has to change. I assume just they need more space on the floor would be my guess.
Right.
And then I feel like everything else after that would be it would be stuff that we're not privy to. Like, the stuff that keeps the ice frozen underneath the arena. Like, I don't think that's anything that's good. I'll tell you this, when you're down there in your courtside seat though, Ooh, it's gonna be cold down there, boy.
I ain't gonna lie, it's already kind of cold.
It's gonna be colder down there when
like,
you're sitting in your
freezing
courtside
down here. You put my jacket on. That's why they keep their jacket on down there. A little chilly.
Well, maybe they're getting ready for hockey, man. I don't know. It just feels like there's
feels like it's gonna happen.
It feels like there's a lot of talk about other
I don't
sports.
know where it
here.
comes from. That's the whole point. Like I don't know how.
Well, that's why I disagree with James yesterday. We didn't get deep into the conversation. James will be with us tomorrow. Kenny will be away tomorrow. James will be with us for the whole show. We can bring it back then, but like I think there's a difference between being a city that a team relocates to and being a city trying to steal your team.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the same thing.
I agree.
Like clearly whatever's going on in Arizona and Tempe and the Coyotes, it ain't working.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. So if Sacramento can be there to work with the NHL, cool.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it. That's not Vivek or the city of Sacramento or us actively campaigning to take someone's team. Like, that's not the same thing.
Right.
That's a situation where a relationship died and this franchise needs to go somewhere else.
Yep.
And it feels like, much like Oakland and the A's, that whatever is going on with the Coyotes in Arizona is done.
Right.
And they're going to have to figure that out sooner rather than later.
And it also feels like Vivek wants in on some more action.
That's 100% what it feels like, because Vivek's name's being tied to every damn sports franchise out there in the world.
This guy was in like the English Premier League.
He's trying to buy the Premier League. He's trying to buy the Senators. He's like he's in on everything.
He wants some more of this action.
Everyone, I see. I don't want to say everyone. I see this regularly. I think I saw it as recently as yesterday in the chat. Whenever Vivek's name comes up with buying something else, people say, "Why doesn't he buy the Republic?"
Yeah.
To the Republic aren't for sale, are they?
No, I don't think so. I think but I think people come up with that because, from what I know, what I've heard, Kevin Nagel is actively looking for a partner.
And that's
what he was trying to do to keep the MLS thing. He's like, well, we need somebody to fill the Ron Burkle position.
Did you see the expansion fee for that?
Yeah, price.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, no wonder everyone's like, yeah, dude, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I think it was like, was it 5? I think it was like 500.
Yeah,
it was like $500 million.
And I think the MLS
that's more than the Braille Yards thing cost.
Right. I think the MLS is dope. I enjoy it. It would be great if they can go to the MLS. I don't know if the MLS is popping like that.
That's
so
just like $500 million, man. That is.
I think you do. I mean, here in Sacramento, you do great because they love the Republic, and if you got in the MLS, like it will work locally. But once again, it's not like you're getting a MLB or even an NHL team.
You know why it is? While I agree with you that it's not likely the MLS continues to expand, you know why it's possible? That $500 million fee. Because what owner?
2 more times.
Because you know where those fees go to the owners.
Yeah.
Who's going to be like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't need that. No one.
And they say,
literally no one.
Get that 2 more times.
That's
just
absurd.
2 more times will be good to go.
Absurd. Absolutely absurd. You're listening to D-Lo and Casey on KIFM West Sacramento, 98.5 FM, KRX QHD2 Sacramento, ESPN 1320. Always live on the free Odyssey app, live in visual form as well on twitch.tv/ESPN1320, youtube.com/ESPN1320. If you're listening there, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button. Again, we appreciate you, as always, for being with us. Quick follow-up to something we were talking about with Ja Morant. We'll hit this quick because I know you had something related to the Kings. There's a lot of talk that Nike's has removed Ja Morant's existing shoe off of their website. Now, the important note about that is because everyone is speculating how much Ja's latest incident will have on his endorsement deals. Him just signing a really big Nike deal is the one everyone's paying the closest attention to. But his upcoming release, which I think is set for May 25th, is still on the Sneakers app. You can still be notified for it, and it's still on the upcoming releases. So you could put those two together, that while most people don't look for it at the time, it's not unusual for a previous colorway to disappear. before a new shoe drops. I'd expect it to return after the new shoe drops.
Right.
I don't think this is Nike taking any sort of stand against Ja Morant. In fact, if you go to Nike.com or you go to the Nike app and you search Ja, his
merch is
still there.
Yeah.
So there's no, at least as of Thursday, May 18th, 2:58, Pacific Standard Time, Nike has not taken any sort of stance against Ja Morant.
No, and I don't expect them to. I never did. I mean, I didn't think it would happen, but that caught everybody.
People use the Kyrie thing a lot. The Kyrie thing was probably coming to an end long before that link was posted.
Absolutely. I mean,
he called his latest shoe release trash on social media. If I remember correctly, that man said this is trash. So that was kind of like sign number one. Like, hey, maybe Kyrie's time at Nike is done.
I ain't never seen nothing like that before.
Yeah.
Man.
He cleaned it up pretty quick, but at that point, it's probably a little too late. So people point,
man, these is trash, man.
People point to the anti-Semitic thing he posted, the link he posted.
Yeah.
That wasn't the end of his relationship with Nike. His end was already kind of happening.
Yeah.
So this is a very, very different situation.
Yeah, no, I think Ja, they're gonna stick beside him. They're gonna stick beside him. I think they're gonna be with Ja.
Terrence says they stuck with Tiger. They probably will stick with Ja. Bruh, Tiger was making like $1 billion for Nike.
He was bringing in a Billy.
Tiger could have damn near been who.
Hey man, I won't mention this guy's name. I'll give him his initials. OJS.
I ain't saying nobody's name. Nike might not have dropped him. Nike was still making clubs when that Tiger stuff happened.
Yeah. No, he wasn't going nowhere. Yeah. He wasn't going nowhere.
But I'm with Terrence in the sense I don't think Ja's going anywhere.
I don't think so either. Now, I think they might bring in somebody new as I don't even want to call him a backup plan, but he can't be Ja can't be the only one anymore.
You know what?
We can't put all our eggs in this basket.
Hey, you got people at Nike. I got people at Nike. They're different people. We'll call each one of them. You know what would be a very smart business decision for you right now? You need a guard who can do everything. You need an explosive guard on your roster because we're one hood away from Ja Morant pulling out that piece again. To NBA young boy, like, hey,
I'm gonna be on house arrest in Utah.
I don't know for sure, but I don't even think De'Aaron Fox likes NBA young boy. You might want to get that man on your roster.
I'm telling you, need to do it.
Get that man on your roster.
I mean, we gonna speak to Nike or Jordan Brand. Let's go. Under Armour, you did well this year. We appreciate your services. It's time to go back home.
Your services are no longer required. Good luck on your future endeavors.
Simple as that. We'd have moved on.
What was your Matt George is going to join us in 15 minutes? What was your King's question?
So I was just listening to a conversation on the way in just about the league and everything like that. And you asked Kevin John about his expectations for next season. And Kevin talked about his expectations for next season. And this conversation was talking about there are a lot of teams in the West who are either like not even at the beginning, before the beginning. Think like Houston or San Antonio now, teams like that. And teams that are like at the end, Golden State. Phoenix is on the tail end of what they're trying to do. The Clippers on the tail end.
Which I don't disagree with you, but they barely even started.
Right,
they haven't even had a full year together.
Well, this incarnation of them, but that other team they're going to be going on their fourth year of a run. And they added KD, yes, but KD is 35 or something like that. So there's it feels like there's room for a team in the Western Conference. Memphis is just kind of, people would say Memphis, but they've been tossed to the side. Can the Kings be that next team in the West?
Absolutely. I don't think that's how
realistic do you think?
I don't think that's even a homer like pick either. But let me because I answered that way too quickly. What exactly do you mean?
Like a Western Conference title contender, like how Denver has been. I guess you could say this year too, but like the last couple of seasons, like Denver can
4 years.
They can go.
Well, I'll say I have no reason to believe Denver can't go again next year.
Yeah, and they're still there. Denver would still be in that conversation. Not replacing them right now.
Okay, so my answer is the same. Yes, absolutely. I could see them
top 4 like Kevin John.
Yeah. I can absolutely see that.
Who are the other teams that are there? I would say
in the top 4.
Like, yeah, and could be like next.
Well,
I'd say
I'm not going to say a bad thing about Denver again. So Denver, 1.
The Kings. OKC's probably there
For next year.
I'm even talking more than next year. Like, these teams are here for the next 3 years.
Okay.
I think OKC.
I got you.
Could knock on the door of top 4 next year.
Absolutely.
They could knock on the door.
Okay. All right, I'm with it. Okay, so a couple questions then.
Mm-hmm.
Are we out on the Clippers?
The Clippers sure do feel like this is like the last chance, and I don't know if they got enough. Because now you're looking at the Clippers.
So,
I mean, how do we really believe that they're going to be able to keep it together all season?
So let me ask. I got to be honest. I don't know.
And I'm a believer more than most in the Clippers, but how can I reasonably say like, oh yeah, it's going next year, everybody's going to be healthy, it's going to work? It probably won't be.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with it too. I was going to say Denver, Phoenix, LA, Clippers, Lakers.
I've come around on like what be, and I don't know how Phoenix improves the depth. We've already talked about Kevin Durant not playing 70 games, let alone 82. And now if they bring back Chris Paul again,
Phoenix is trying to steal Jordy.
They need to stop. Back up. What
Jordy's going to be?
What did Lucas say? Lucas says, "Unhand him, peasants.
Do not touch Jordy Fernandez. Unhand my assistant coach, you peasant." Jordy's going to be gone sooner than later.
He is. I think it'll be
like
next year.
This is his Toronto. I think was the other
Toronto
one.
was the other one. Yeah.
And I mean, to the best of my knowledge, Toronto hasn't hired a coach.
No.
So, but
which means
Toronto,
they might be waiting for somebody. Milwaukee hasn't hired one either, though. Kelvin Sampson gets an interview.
Yeah, that alert popped up yesterday, and I think I turned to read it like 6 times. And I like him. Like I
like him too. That's a wild boy, though.
Yeah,
he's like Bruce Pearl.
That doesn't feel like an NBA coach to me. like I always look at Houston like, oh, I can see Houston doing it. Yeah, absolutely. He's a perfect college coach. Just whenever the fire gets too hot, just quit.
Well,
that's what the great ones do. Just quit.
Kelvin lives by the mantra of, they've been doing it for years. Why can't we?
Just burn it down on your way out.
Yeah, but yeah, Jordy, he's the apple of a lot of people's eyes right now. I think it's going to be next season. I do think it's going to be next season. But I talked about this in the show notes. I want to know what you think. It's similar, in my opinion, to what the Niners have had to do with their coaching staff, losing guys left and right. But that's a good thing because, number one, you're a good team, and people try to take coaches from the good teams.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you have the leader there, the 49ers got Kyle Shanahan, and you've got the leader here in Sacramento being Mike Brown, it seems like you can survive these things. Football may be different than basketball. Well, it is different than basketball, but this type of situation may affect football differently than basketball. But it seems like if the leader's there, you should be able to weather it.
I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, I agree with you. without a doubt, I 100% agree with you. I was trying to figure out. I don't remember Mike's staff in Cleveland when he was winning 60 games every year, and who, may or may not have come and gone with that squad, because they were good for years. But I like the idea. Jordy is the lead assistant, right? Like that's why when Mike's gone, Jordy's the. So the good news is he's not taking a position. He's not going to make a lateral move to be like a lead assistant somewhere else, because he's the lead assistant here.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you in that regard. It'll certainly be interesting to see how Mike Brown handles that. If Jordy were to leave, because the other thing, we talked about this with Joe Mazzola, and I expect we'll see it whenever Boston's season comes to an end, is Joe Mazzola has been coaching the entire year with Ime Udoka's coaching staff. Yeah. And I imagine, Ime, a lot of those guys are probably going to want to go with him. But there's a lot of, there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
Like what position you are on the bench and what, assistant you are. Like a lot goes into that. It's a great opportunity maybe for Doug to move up a notch, or Lindsey to move up a notch if Jordy winds up gone. But I'm with you I'm with you. I like the Kyle Shanahan analogy. Kyle Luther King.
Shout out Stephen Wilkes. Just brought another one.
Kyle Shanahan single-handedly keeping black coaches in the NFL. Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I'm trying to find out. This is
Mike's assistants. Yeah, I was trying. I thought I could do it quickly, and I realized I couldn't. So I was just like, forget it. Like, I don't know.
I found it. Well, I don't know what these people look. Oh well. If this is this correct?
I don't know.
08, 09, Mike Brown is the head coach. Now, they weren't direct descendants, but Lloyd Pierce was on that staff.
That sounds right.
Michael Malone was on that staff.
Okay.
So you got two guys from there that became NBA head coaches. Now, okay. Did Michael Malone come from the Cavs to the Kings?
No. Michael Malone was with the Warriors?
That's right. That is correct. He
question mark?
That is correct. Yeah, he actually went to the New Orleans Hornets. Then he went to the Warriors and then to the Kings.
Okay.
And Lloyd Pierce, we all know he didn't come straight from the Cavs to the Hawks. I don't know where he was after that, but Chris Gent was on that staff. I remember that was LeBron's boy, and that I think when Chris Gent come here, something happened where LeBron said Ben McLemore was going to be nice because Chris Gent was the coach. I think Chris Gent came here as an assistant.
Okay.
But there was a connection. But yeah, those guys were on. Yep, there it is. 14-15. Actually, 13-14 and 14-15. Chris Gent was with the Kings. And LeBron was like, oh, yeah, Ben McLemore with Chris Gent.
We all should have known about LeBron's general managing skills back then. I like Ben McLemore, by the way.
I do too, man.
I like Ben McLemore.
And you know what? People don't really look at it like this. Ben McLemore was in the league for like 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hell yeah. More power to you, man. 10, 11, 12, 13-year vet.
Mm-hmm.
More power to you, man. That's nothing to sneeze about.
Can I give one? We got Matt George joining us. Can I give one great, little behind the scenes note about this conversation? For the last 3 hours, it appears Jesse has paid us no attention. He's still really pissed off about what happened last night.
I just gave you the thumbs up on the Michael Malone stuff.
So what I was going to say is, even though it appears he is not paying a single lick of attention to what we're saying, he's off doing his work. We posed the question about Michael Malone and the Golden State Warriors, and all I see is a hand fly up in the background with, you got it. Thumbs up. Are you okay?
Huh?
Are you okay?
He's
Yeah.
crossed his 2 sticks. And he should
You
be.
can admit you're pissed off. It's all right.
I'm good.
All right.
They might mess around and win the next 4 games.
I don't think that's happening.
I don't
They
think so
might
either,
win.
but they might.
I still
That
believe
doesn't
Boston
change how
can
I
win.
feel about Miami, though.
Miami.
My goodness.
He's almighty, man. Whew. We'll come back. Matt George joins us. By the way, game 2 of the Western Conference Finals coming up here.
It's a big one tonight.
5 o'clock on ESPN 1320. Is there any game in the playoffs now that's not big?
Game 1 of the finals.
Okay. It's a feeling out game.
Yeah.
If you're LeBron James. Matt George joins us when D'Lo and Casey. Brought to you by Sky River Casino. Returns here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320.
Yeah, I know, right?
June.
Things needs to be getting started.
So neither of you know this. We've gone to middle to late June now. I found that out yesterday.
Okay.
That's yeah. Middle to late. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'll push if you want me to push, Jesse. I'll push.
Lloyd Pierce from San Jose.
I can't hear you if you're talking. I gotta
No,
go get my water. Sorry.
Lloyd Pierce from San Jose. Didn't know that.
He's from San Jose?
Yeah, he went to high school in San Jose at least. Yerba
I
Buena.
don't know that either.
He's from Santa Clara. Oh, he went to Santa Clara too. Oh yeah, he's from San Jose. Born in San Jose, California. Is that a mop I just saw for $700? That's crazy. That is crazy. Currently, I have on the Kings-Nets game. Kevin Huerter just hit a 3 to put the Kings up 64-42 with 3:28 to go in the second quarter. One thing I remember about this game was it was really hard to get in. It took forever to get inside.
Which one's that?
The Kings-Nets game.
Oh.
It was packed. Yeah, Patrick, it was a good time, man. That was the first party of the season. Oh, Kevin Huerter just hit another 3. He's on fire.
I wonder if this video is real.
Gotta check nowadays.
Did you see real in the sense of it's out there? Like, did you see the TJ Watt fall in the pool?
No.
He's cleaning the pool. It's like a security. It's like his security video. He's cleaning the pool, and I think he just slips.
Oh no. TJ Watt, you said?
Yeah, oh God, that actually looks like it hurt.
Yeah, that don't sound like it.
Yeah, he slipped cleaning the pool.
Be careful.
Oh God, that actually looked like it hurt.
Oh, okay, let's see. Oh no. I'm afraid to watch this.
No, it's not that bad.
No.
You know what?
Be careful, TJ.
You know what I did yesterday super impulsively?
Oh!
Didn't that look like it hurt a little bit?
Oh! TJ, be careful. Oh, damn. Since he's okay, I can laugh.
I impulsively bought like it's not tiny, but it's not big either, above the ground pool yesterday.
Okay. Wow.
Wow,
You're
what?
buying a pool.
No. That's now you're the media. An above ground pool from Amazon.
Still, bro. Still.
No.
Stop. This
No.
ain't you ain't buying no kiddie pool. Stop.
This guy, I can't tell you
bro.
shit,
No.
dude.
No,
I'm not telling you shit anymore, man.
Come on, man. You ain't even gotta put the price out there, but like
It's
I said,
not even that much. It's from Amazon.
still, man, it's not a kiddie pool. I'm about to go to Amazon right now. Let me see. Let me
This
see how much.
is ridiculous, dude. This is why I can't.
Let's see how much it's hitting for.
I'm just happy Matt's here. We're back, Matt. Hang on. Matt George, Locked On Kings, in a very familiar ABC 10 studio with us here on D'Lo and KC, brought to you by Sky River Casino. What's up, Matty Ice?
Welcome to the more negative, pessimistic corner of the office. You got the happy, positive corner back there. Over here, it's just dark clouds and doom and gloom.
Nah, you're a happy guy. You've got a jersey. I think this is Mr. Optimist.
I do have that jersey, and it's a very good purchase, and I'll never be told otherwise. It's up in my closet right next to my black Jimmer Fredette jersey, so it's in a really good, safe place.
So it doesn't get worn a lot, I
No.
guess.
I have like 3 Bibby jerseys from when I was a kid. I have a Reggie Theus jersey. I have the Jimmer jersey, and now I have the Optimism jersey. And the Reggie Theus jersey I actually got from a season ticket holder event that my uncle took me to. We had dinner on the court of Arco Arena. And we had dinner with Reggie Theus when he was the head coach at the time, and Jerry Reynolds. And Jerry sat right next to me, and I was a kid. And I still I remind Jerry of this every once in a while. He doesn't remember, but Jerry was so amazing to me. He sat right next to me and talked to me the entire night. Was just super kind to me. Reggie was super cool. And I got a Reggie Theus jersey from that night. So I kept that, and that's still up in the closet too.
That's awesome.
A little cooler than the Jimmer jersey that my ex bought me.
Well, no, you don't have to keep that if you don't want.
Yeah, you're not obligated.
But it was the Black Kings jersey. It's kind of when they did the rebrand. Remember when they had like the knight, the knight with the shield? Like that was kind of cool.
So what if you just throw it on for fun one day, and Brittany says, "Hey, where did you get that one?"
She doesn't know it exists.
Okay. Well, are you? But if she said,
no, hold on.
Where did you get
you know what?
that from?
I don't care. I'll happily tell her, because my wife Brittany is a Denver Broncos fan because her ex-boyfriend was a Denver Broncos fan, and she said, I left him, but I couldn't leave the Denver Broncos. I got to stick with the Broncos, even though when you ask her who's their favorite player on the Denver Broncos right now, her answer is Tim Tebow or Peyton Manning.
That feels like the beginning of a Tyler Perry movie right there.
Yeah, well, Brittany, I mean, I'm gonna need you to leave the Broncos. It wasn't like a childhood team or anything like that. Like you met him when you met some random guy. Well, because
whose name was also Matt, by the way.
Matt George.
Wait,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Repeat that one more time.
Her ex's name is Matt. She has a type. Tall, skinny white dudes named Matt. That's her type.
Your wife.
She needs to be with Raider Nation now.
Okay. I don't know if I want to subject her to that. She could just not watch football. Although one of our first dates we ever went on. So you have to remember, Brittany and I met at a Christian school, which D'Lo has had running a great conversation about the Christian university that I went to.
That's a lie.
He enjoys it a lot. It's a great dinner conversation, and we can talk about it anytime. But so I took her to a Raiders game for one of our first dates, and we're going out there, and I'm like, this is so much fun. I'm excited about this. These are my people. Like, I love this. And she's thinking like Raider fans yelling, screaming. She's like, these aren't your people. You're a good little nice Christian kid. And we get out there, and it was the game that I can't remember the season, But when the Raiders beat the Kansas City Chiefs on Thursday Night Football to snap, they had not won a game yet that season. And it was in the pouring rain. She stuck through the entire game with me, but she heard me cursing out officials and screaming for flags and everything. So she got kind of an idea of who I was at that point in time. But I knew she was a keeper because she sat there in the upper bowl with me the entire game, even in the rain. And I told her at like the end of the third quarter, I'm like, we're freezing. We can leave and go to the car if you want. And she turned to me and she said, never ask that question or never tell me that ever again. Never tell me to leave a game early again. So I was like, and ring.
She was. Yeah, she's definitely a keeper. Was that the same Raiders game where late in the game they got a sack?
Yep, and celebrated like 40 yards up the field.
Hurry up.
Yep. Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but they celebrated like 40 yards upfield and got a flag for it. Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
Offense, and they were celebrating the sack.
They were on the other side of the field from where the play was celebrating. It was like 3 guys.
Raider Nation in a nutshell, right there. Tremendous.
They won the game, though.
Well, they did. Matt, the lottery is behind us. Obviously, that has nothing to do with Sacramento, though. The NBA draft is just 5 weeks from today. I know you've been a little bit reluctant to really start diving into draft stuff, but judging by the latest edition of the Locked On Kings podcast, available wherever you get podcasts from, you've started doing that. What stood out to you?
Yeah, I started diving in a little bit. Had one of my friends, Sam Ferris, on. He's one of our contributors to our Locked On NBA Big Board podcast. And he put together a list of 5 prospects from a wide range of like older prospects, younger prospects, more projects versus like immediate impact type players that he thinks the Sacramento Kings should be keeping their eye on and should be looking at. And I mean, he didn't necessarily sell all 5 of them to me. He just presented why the 5 of them could be on the radar of the Sacramento Kings. The first one should come as no surprise to anybody. It was Chris Murray. He also had like JJ Jackson, the power forward out of South Carolina, who is more of like a high offensive prospect that you could stash in the G League. Essentially, he said he's like, GG's young, he's raw, but he puts up good numbers and he's exciting. He could come in and the Kings could send him to the G League for a while just to watch him put up good numbers. There's questions about his defense, but he thinks he's someone that could fill that 4 spot eventually for the Kings a couple years down the road. He also thinks even though the Kings are trying to win right now, they're potentially in the best position they've ever been to take on kind of a green or more raw prospect because they have an established system here. They have an established core here, and they have a group that can work with him. He can be involved in a winning culture without having to have too much on his shoulders put right away. So there's kind of the younger route that you can go with like a JJ Jackson type player. And then he talked about same thing with like a Noah Clowney, which I kind of really like. And then he brought up like a Jaime Jaquez Jr., and I'm trying to remember who else he had in his top 5. Oh, Maxwell Lewis from Pepperdine. So these are just 5 guys that kind of a different spectrum that potentially could help the Sacramento Kings some wings. But ultimately, what we focused on is what the Sacramento Kings are going to be looking for out of that 24 spot is either someone that they can develop going forward and give the appropriate time to, or someone who can potentially become an immediate, impactful, rotational player that can continue to grow in his role as the team grows into a championship team 2-3 years down the road. But even if the Kings are drafting Chris Murray, you're not looking at him the same way we were looking at Keegan Murray last year. It's about finding someone who can be either impactful or develop into impactful in his role, not someone who's going to be any kind of game changer.
You know, I know, and I don't have any issue with him if he was drafted here. It'd be all good. I kind of don't want Chris Murray, and it has nothing to do with basketball. It's everything that we talked about. I think let these guys do their own thing in their career. And I understand why people are clamoring for him. He's a great ball player. We love the Murrays, so we'd want him here. It'd be a cool story, but I don't know, man. I kind of feel like, let Chris go do his own thing. Let Keegan do his own thing here.
I think no matter what, Chris is going to be compared to his brother, and he's probably been compared to his brother his entire life, so that's probably nothing new with him. But one of the things we touched on when we were discussing Chris to Sacramento was that he's not Keegan. If he was Keegan, he'd be going much higher in this draft. Now, Sam seems to believe that right around that 18 to 25 range is going to be that sweet spot for Chris. So he very well may be there on draft night. Although a lot of people believe he's going to be going before the Kings are making their selection, which that would be great for Chris. But even though he comes in and provides a similar skill set than Keegan, he doesn't necessarily do anything better than Keegan. But the Kings could obviously use a copy and pasted, slightly worse version of Keegan Murray coming off their bench to help space the floor. But I tend to agree with you, Kenny, in the sense that, like, I think it would be more beneficial for Chris to go elsewhere. Not that he doesn't want to play with his brother, not that he wouldn't succeed here in Sacramento, but to become his own version of himself and to establish himself. And even Fran McCaffrey, his head coach at Iowa and Keegan's head coach at Iowa, when I had him on Locked On a couple of weeks ago, he talked about like how Chris, and I think I talked about this with you guys last week, like Chris made the choice to return to Iowa last year instead of go into the draft where he probably would have been at worst, like two-way contract player. And so that he could kind of develop himself and find his own way a little bit. So I think it's kind of the same thing. It would be great to have both Murray twins here in Sacramento, but ultimately I think it might be better for Chris to go elsewhere, but I wouldn't be complaining if he's here in Sac.
Do you think it feels pretty just wide open there once you get that low in the draft at 24? It's just kind of you can plan, you can have an idea, but you're probably, when you're drafting at 4, you don't need to have a lot of different plans. When you're drafting at 24, you got to find like 9 or 10 guys that you like. You got to find a lot of different options there. Do you feel that like that's probably the case here as you've started to research these prospects?
Yeah, and be prepared for those 9 or 10 guys to be slotted to go 15th and then slotted to go in the second round at a different point over the next 3 weeks. Like that's what this crop is. Like you're just trying to find a diamond in a rough necessarily, but it's also a pick with less pressure on it. Now, I opened yesterday's podcast talking about this. Like I believe the Sacramento Kings are going to make a selection with this pick. And my reasoning for that is when you have to think about it less from a talent to help the Kings right now standpoint and think about it from a affordable long-term contract perspective, which is you fill a roster spot with someone who's not going to cost you a bunch of money and someone you have control over for the next 3 to 4 years. And then you have the rights to them beyond that. That fills up a roster spot. And Monty has been so consistent since day one here in Sacramento, talking about flexibility with his roster, flexibility financially. And the Kings have to start making decisions this offseason with the understanding that they're trying to save as much money as they can for Domas's probably max contract or close to it. They got to eventually think about paying Keegan Murray and adding, maybe even bringing Malik Monk back. He's got 1 year left on his deal, and Malik's price is going up the better he plays here in Sacramento. So to draft a player 24th is to lock a roster spot down, even if you want to send them to the G League for a little while, and have a guaranteed cheap player on the books that could be something right away or could be something 2 or 3 years down the road. So I would be more surprised that the Kings move this pick than make a selection. But to your point, there's going to be a laundry list of guys. I don't think we're going to have a situation that we had last year when Monty was coming to the podium on draft night saying, yeah, it was a consensus. Everybody in the draft room thought Keegan was the best player. I think there's going to be a lot of debate as to who to take at that 24. And I think that's great.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're going to have they're going to have the opportunity, like you mentioned earlier, to kind of, I know James says, they're that's not really their style, but take a shot on somebody. And I've been talking about Imani Bates, if he's still around. And he's one of those guys that you talked about, Damian, or 1 week I see him at 19. The other week I see him at 24. The next week I see him at 60. You know what I mean? Like they're all over the place with their evaluation sometimes. But he's a guy that had a lot of upside coming out of high school, had a different path to get where he got, but the talent seems to still be there. And to your point, Matt, you could get a possible impact guy, maybe not this year, but next year and years beyond on the rookie contract that is completely different than what you're going to have to play Fox, Sabonis, Murray, Malik Monk, if you want him to stay. And I think that's extremely vital for building this team and trying to keep them at a place where they can either grow or at the very least maintain, be this playoff team while the other guys develop.
I am starting to get a kind of a wishful thinking scenario going in my brain too. I was talking to a couple guys on the air and then off the record about Derek Lively II out of Duke, because he's someone that I've seen, the lowest I've seen him go is like the 20. And in talking to Sam yesterday on the pod, it was like he would have to fall to make it to 24, which fingers crossed for this situation, because here is a big man that can provide immediate shot blocking. He's a 7-footer and actually listed as 7'1". Not necessarily a scorer, a decent rebounder for his size, but he's a shot blocker. And he's someone that ideally could come in and play minutes right away as a rookie. And he doesn't have to start. He doesn't have to play Domantas Sabonis level minutes. It might be 10 to 15 minute stretch, but he can be out there and he can protect the rim and protect the paint, which is something the Kings so desperately need at times when, hey, give Domantas Sabonis a little bit of rest, or maybe Sabonis is in foul trouble and it's not layup lines for the remainder of the game. So, I mean, if there's a scenario that very, very early on I've started to kind of like and attach myself to, I've really started to like the idea of Lively.
Monty McNair used the phrase maintain and improve at his exit interview. And, I mean, that's a fantastic thing to say. It's also a very easy thing to say, because if everybody was able to do it, teams that made the playoffs will just keep making them. You maintain and improve, maintain and improve. How much improvement do you think the Kings can make through this draft process?
I think minor. The biggest improvement the Kings can make through this draft process is trading the pick. But I also think we have to be realistic about what a 24th pick and what you're willing to move can get you. Like, you're not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jimmy Butler. Like, you'd love the idea of we're doing our mock draft, our locked on mock draft, and our poor Detroit Pistons host Koo put out there. He goes, anyone interested in the fifth pick? And I messaged him back and said, best I could do is Alex Len in number 24. Like in reality, that's what the Kings are kind of doing. It's like Rashawn Holmes in number 24. Like, it's not getting you a game changer. So if the Kings want to improve immediately, they either have to strike gold in the draft, which nobody knows that scenario because it doesn't really exist until it happens, or you have to trade it for a rotational player that you didn't necessarily expect, maybe attach future draft assets or something on top of that within reason and get a player that way. So I'm looking at draft night the same way we've looked at draft night for basically the last 16 years and going, okay, this could be a game changer for the Sacramento Kings. I'm looking at it as add something to help marginal improvement, but going back to Monty McNair's press conference, his exit interview, I still think Monty tipped his hand a little bit in talking about the core improving, the core six. Like, it's going to take those six guys getting better to ultimately take this team to the next level. I'm not necessarily saying simply run it back and you'll be fine, because I think there's little tweaks, of course, to be made and assets to go out and get, especially potentially in the free agency market. But to me, it's once again going to be Fox getting better, Sabonis getting better, Monk getting better, Mitchell getting better, Murray getting better. Those five guys right there, even Kevin Huerter getting better. There are six guys right there. Maybe add Harrison Barnes into that if you bring him back. Those 6 to 7 guys are still going to be the ones to take you as far as you can go.
The K Street 6.
I like it. Put it on a shirt.
Put it on a shirt.
The K Street 6. That, I don't know why. That doesn't feel right. That actually sounds like something else. We should just not do that. Let's void that.
You know, Dubs Nation, the Hamptons 5. Settle down.
K Street 6. Goodness gracious. What are your expectations, Matt? We just had this conversation. We talked to Kevin about it too. What are your expectations for next year?
Winning a playoff series. Like that's I think that's where it starts. And I think, Kenny, you and I had a conversation about this. It might have been on D-Lo and KC, I can't remember, but context is extremely important, right? What does that context look like? Do you get knocked out because of injuries? Do you get knocked out because you get matched up against the team that wins the championship? Whatever. Like, context, of course, is important, but I think ultimately the Sacramento Kings show that they belonged last year, get back there this year, and go further, like build upon it. And that can be looked at from an individual standpoint of Domas having a significantly better playoffs, or De'Aaron Fox establishing himself as an absolute guaranteed all-star, all-NBA second team or above type player. I mean, there's individual ways to classify that growth. And then there's, as a team, make it back to the playoffs and win a playoff series once again. You don't have to have home court advantage. You don't have to be a top 3 seed or top 4 seed. That would be great if they were. I think that's what Kevin said, is he thinks this is going to be a 4 seed or better, which I think that's a fair expectation to have for this team. The number that I think we're really going to pay attention to is the number that Mike Brown brought up, which is, I think it was Mike. It might have been Monty, but one of the two of them brought up 50 or more wins. Teams that truly compete for championships typically are in the 50-plus win club. A lot of them 55-plus wins. Now, to go from 48 to 55 is a massive leap, even if it doesn't seem like it. Like, that's pretty significant. That's the gap between good and great that Mike Brown has talked a lot about, how hard that is. But I think for the regular season, the goal should be 50-plus wins, and the postseason should be winning a playoff series. But G-Man pointed out, I think it was G-Man that pointed out on Locked On Kings last week, that when the Kings started their amazing run in the late 90s and early 2000s, I think the first 2 years of the playoffs, they were first-round exits. So it doesn't mean, it's not the end of the world if the Kings make it to the first round, to Kenny's point, and they get knocked out by whatever team. It's not the end of the world, as long as they, again, show that they belong there. The only thing they can't have is a season of regression, or what I'm concerned about is a season of, now teams know who you are and you can't assert yourself the same way. Like, teams know who the Kings are now. The Kings aren't catching anybody by surprise. Can they still be so good, especially offensively? They're so damn good that even if you know who they are, you can't consistently stop them. I think that's a big thing.
And to G-Man's point as well, they were both 8 seeds those years. So the one year they played the Jazz, 8 seed. I'm sure if D'Lo and KC was around then, now it's time to move up. I'm thinking 60, maybe home court advantage. The team was 8 seed. And they were down 2-0 to the world champions. But they didn't really hit their stride until the third season, which makes what we saw this year even more amazing, because, they were able to get as high in the standings as they were their first go around. But I really think, and I understand the expectations of winning a playoff series, but I really do believe it's really just important for them to get back to the playoffs. Like, if they get there, for maybe this is the last time we say this, but if they get there, mission accomplished. But they have to start showing that consistent, hey, we're a perennial playoff team. And when they go to draft, or when they have the mindset of trying to get free agents, we're a perennial playoff team. We're trying to get to the next level. Now we're trying to win a couple series. But you can't necessarily say that if you're one and done, and you don't make the playoffs.
I think the Western Conference is extremely important in this conversation too, because 48 wins this year got you the 3rd seed. What does the 48 wins get you next year? What does 50 wins get you next year? Like, there are going to be some teams that you expect to fall out. There are going to be other teams that to be determined. There's going to be teams like Oklahoma City that I think are going to be suddenly really good. Like, I think Oklahoma City is going to have a potential season of, like, a colossal rise season, the same way the Kings did this year. Like, I think OKC's primed for something like that. I mean, Victor Wembanyama is going to the San Antonio Spurs. I'm not saying they're a playoff team now, but if he's as good as advertised, how far along is that Spurs team? Like, I mean, you could talk about teams in the cellar, but maybe the Rockets get better. I mean, maybe the Portland Trailblazers get better if they truly are going to go all in to try and build it around Dame one more time. Like, there are a lot of teams in the West right now that are going for it. The Dallas Mavericks are still going to try to be there. So, again, the Kings could be just as good, but so many teams are going for it that next year they're the 5th seed. Well, them dropping 2 spots one season, let's say they win 48 games next season again, they stay the exact same win total, and they're a 5th seed. That's not, they're not improving, or that they're not going backwards. They're fine. They're in the same position. So how the West shakes out too is extremely important in that conversation.
Quick side note. It's funny. I've got Kings Nets on in my studio here in the office, and everybody's wearing Band-Aids.
Oh, the Band-Aid game.
Good times.
Everybody, Scott Fresh has the Band-Aid under his side.
That's tremendous.
That was a moment for about a week or so.
Why did we not wear Band-Aids for Game 7?
I don't know. That would have brought it all home.
We absolutely should have wore Band-Aids for Game 7. Shoot.
Drop the ball.
What do you think happens with Portland? You mentioned them a second ago. They're such a wild card in this Western Conference. I mean, there's a lot of wild. We were talking about this earlier. Like, I don't know what to think of Phoenix. I don't know what to think of the Clippers. Portland is in one of the most unique spots headed into the draft. You know what number one's doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know number two's drafting. You might not necessarily know who, but you're pretty confident you know who number two that Charlotte is drafting a player.
Mm-hmm.
You have no clue what Portland is doing at 3.
I think this is a point of no return decision for Portland in the sense that like if Scoot is there, I think you take him. I understand you have Dame in Portland, but like at this point, I don't know what you're getting for 3 that you're putting next to Dame that instantly vaults you into. They're not talking about just getting back to the playoffs. They've been there, done that for years. They're trying to win a championship with Dame. 3 is not getting you a championship. You're so far away from that. Even if you have some of your young players continue to develop, like Shaedon Sharpe continues to develop, I think he's going to be excellent. Like, I think he's going to be really, really solid. Shaedon Sharpe, a decent player that you get for 3, because you're not getting a superstar for 3 unless something crazy happens. And Dame Lillard are not winning you a championship in the Western Conference or in the NBA period. It's just not. I think that's time, personally, and this is very easy to say from this perspective, I think it's time to move on from Dame. And I don't think it's Dame's fault. I don't think it's Portland's fault. I think, like, you take Scoot, you have a Scoot Sharpe core to start building around, a rebuild, truly commit to it, get what you can for Dame in terms of draft assets like Oklahoma City has done or like the Utah Jazz did for that ridiculous Rudy Gobert trade. Like, get something and start building now and say, Dame, thank you so much. We can't give you here what we want to give you. If they had won the lottery and Victor came in here, even Dame and Victor aren't winning a championship right away. But you have something there, and you're probably feeling a little more patient, right? Like, I take Scoot, and I'm saying, Dame, I'm going to do the best that I can to put you in a situation that's great for us, but also helps you try and win a title right now. I think that's the route that the Portland Trailblazers should go on. Kind of the same way I think the Dallas Mavericks, they won't ever do this, but should be looking to move to some capacity Luka Doncic to try and get themselves out of where they're at. I just don't think the Portland Trailblazers can go where they want to go with Dame Lillard at this point. I think they're stuck.
I agree 100% with you on both fronts. I think Dallas is probably a year away, a missed playoff appearance away next year from thinking about that with Luka. But if I was Portland, as crazy as it seems, I'd probably do the same thing. You know, I'd look to move on from Dame. This is probably the highest value that you'd be able to get a return for Dame Lillard. I'll play devil's advocate though, and we talk about Scoot. The funny thing about prospects and the draft and all this other stuff is you pray that Scoot is what Dame was. Mm-hmm. And he's probably not going to reach it. And I love Scoot, but Dame is, come on, we talking about one of the greatest ever. Mm-hmm. We pray that he's that. But that's what happens with the draft. Oh, that reminds me. Did you see that other quote from our guy?
No.
Where he said, I'm telling you right now, I want to be perfectly clear when I say this right now. If Victor Wembanyama is Anthony Davis, if he's Hakeem Olajuwon, that's a disappointment.
So just because you weren't yelling at the top of your lungs, that was Draymond.
No.
That was Chris Broussard.
That was Chris Broussard.
You needed to be a little louder to be Chris Broussard. Why does anyone listen to that man anymore? What are you doing?
He said another player too.
Dude.
I can't remember who it was. He said 3 players. He's like, yeah, if he's that, it's a disappointment.
People are weird, Matt. I don't know.
Oh, he said he said AD, KD, or Hakeem. That's a disappointment.
Agreed. Welcome to the offseason.
Good Lord, man. Well, the offseason's not here yet, Matt. What do you think? Who you got in these final 2 series here?
I think it's going to be Denver, Boston. I really think it's. Oh, but boy, do I love Miami right now. I'm just having so much fun with Miami, and I'd be having so much more fun about the idea of a 7 and 8 seed NBA Finals if the damn Lakers weren't number 7. Like, I think if you separate the Lakers or you separate the fandom element that I can't not bring to the table when talking about Los Angeles, like, we're getting a really cool, like, NBA Finals potential. We're getting a really cool playoffs period. Like, these playoffs have been amazing, and the ratings have reflected that, right? So these playoffs have been really, really cool, amazing stories. Jimmy Butler's been incredible. I mean, the LeBron James Lakers, their turnaround, their quick turnaround has been really, really cool, despite it being despicable. I mean, it's if any matchup that we get in the NBA Finals, I'm excited about. Honestly, Boston making it to the NBA Finals, sorry, Jesse, is probably the most boring because they were just there last year, but they're still very exciting. So any combination, I think, is a lot of fun. I think we're getting Denver and Boston, but if we get Denver, Miami, or LA, Miami, or LA, Boston, actually, I'd hate LA, Boston if we're being real. Then
Jesse's this close to hitting the end broadcast button.
That's okay. That's okay, Jesse. He hasn't been listening.
Clear.
You guys don't even know you're running ESPN program in the last half hour.
Jesse's so sick of this show today.
What I appreciate about Jesse, though, is I've been in that chair, Jesse, and Jesse can tune you out and not listen and still be on top of the show. Whereas when I tune you out and not listen, some former king drops a cuss word on the air and then I get in trouble for it. So well done, Jesse.
Happens. Yeah, it happens. Oh, man, that's good stuff. Do you think the Lakers, you brought up the Lakers a second ago being the 7th seed, are both, this is actually for both of you, because I kind of think I know what Kenny's going to say. Do you think they're back next year? Like, they were, what were they? You said 7th. Are they a top 4 team next year, top 6 team next year?
If they keep this group together, I think they're a top 6 seed. I don't think they're a play-in team next year.
But isn't there one really, really important thing that whole situation is based on? They can't be a top 6 team if Anthony Davis doesn't play. I guess it's what's the number,
right?
Like what
did he play this year? 53.
Ooh, he missed a lot. I think it was.
Well, maybe the Lakers are proving, like this version of the Lakers are proving. And again, both those guys are another year older, which we've been saying that for LeBron for the last 6 years.
Well, LeBron doesn't count. LeBron has thoroughly defeated Father Time.
Right. So, I mean, maybe this version of the Lakers is proving they can be a play-in team, and 1 extra game, 2 extra games, doesn't matter if they can go this far and go the distance like they're poised to do. So maybe the regular season truly doesn't matter to a team built that way.
When that new group came over, LeBron was out.
He was out, yeah.
But AD was in.
AD came back and played well. You know, the sneaky thing about them, and I don't know how this works out. Maybe they're able to do this and it's no issue, but they got some major free agents. Austin Reeves needs a new contract. Rui needs a new contract, and Angela Russell needs a new contract.
Chris Haynes reported, I think Rui's starting tonight.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I know Chris Haynes mentioned that this morning that there's a possibility that Rui starts tonight.
Yeah,
there might be a bidding war for a couple of those guys.
A bidding war. I love bidding wars.
Not necessarily here in Sacramento, although I think Rui Hachimura should be something for the Kings to keep their eyes on for sure. But I mean, I think Austin Reeves is building off of the same hype that Alex Caruso built off of, which is all power to you. But he's still a good ball player. But I mean, D'Angelo Russell is really good, like, and has been really good consistently. D'Angelo Russell was the reason why I was afraid of a Kings-Lakers series, or the most reason to be afraid of a Kings-Lakers series, because D'Angelo Russell has historically just destroyed the Kings, whether it was the big comeback when he was on Brooklyn, or his time in Minnesota, and now his time in Los Angeles. Like, he's a Kings killer. So I think D'Angelo Russell, bringing him back for sure for the Lakers should be an absolute top priority, because he is a really, really good piece of that team that has so much attention drawn to other guys. And then even like Lonnie Walker, I think Lonnie Walker's a free agent too. And Walker's built his legacy kind of off of one game, but he's a solid rotational piece that you don't have to ask questions about. So Lakers have work to do, but they're the Lakers. They'll always find a way to do something right.
Yeah, not very many go, nah, I don't want to be in LA anymore. Like Austin Reeves is a star in Los Angeles. Like, he's a legitimate star there. It'll be there. There's a lot of interesting storylines to follow, and you can follow them all over on the Locked On Kings podcast.
Oh, we ain't talking Lakers over there, though.
Oh, definitely not. We're talking NBA draft. We're talking the Sacramento Kings, and we are 5 weeks away from the NBA draft. And the truly exciting part about that is 5 weeks from now, we're 1 week away from the start of free agency.
Yeah, there we go.
And that's where we really get cooking. So make sure you subscribe to the Locked On Kings podcast wherever you get podcasts from, or for those watching, you could subscribe over on YouTube as well. Big thanks to Matt George for being with us, and the brother behind him. Big thanks to Kevin John for being with us as well. Thanks to Olivia for joining us as she does each week. If you're listening on ESPN 1320, 98.5, or the Odyssey app, we're going to run it back. Then we're headed out to Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals, the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Lakers. That's all coming up here. Stilo and KC, brought to you by Sky River Casino on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320.
Go Nuggets.
On the dot, baby.
Did you guys see that that Micah Parsons tweet?
I hate that guy.
Why did they put Micah Parsons in a jersey last night? He looked ridiculous.
Micah Parsons put himself. Yeah,
he did.
He looked ridiculous.
Dude's wearing a Tyrese Maxey jersey just last week. Cowboys fans, this is your guy.
He looked ridiculous. Had this nice flannel-looking plaid shirt on, and then super snug, and then threw a Tatum jersey over it.
Ever since he told Lane Johnson, "Oh, go win it for the division, Lane," I knew I can't trust that guy.
Matt, what do you got going on at work today?
That's for Kevin to decide. Kevin, what we got going on today? Anything important? Am I doing anything? Can I go home?
Is
were
Kevin
you planning on working today anyway?
I mean, I'm here.
I mean, there is a Western Conference Finals
Who?
Game 2 on tonight.
Who cares?
That is true. The Kings aren't in there. Also, the MLS announcement today, I got a statement from Sacramento Republic FC.
Okay, we'll have things. ABC 10 will have sports.
You know what? Why don't we cut a bite from D-Lo and KC, and that'll be our sportscast for tonight. Just a long bite of you guys bashing.
We can't. We can't. They're trademarked.
Well, that's
all right. We break the rules here anyway.
That's all right. You guys can have it. All right, man. We'll let you get to work, and we got to get out of the studio so Mia can get in here. Everybody watching, we appreciate you. Thanks as always. We'll see you guys tomorrow.